This group was fearfully making their way through a black mist, but the sight of an immortal spirit before them was enough to scare them witless. The giant spirit with a horrifying face hovered in midair, but what was even more frightening was that this young man was being respectfully addressed by it as Lord. Many years ago, the world underwent a cataclysmic change when reality and the void merged. In the chaos dungeons and hidden realms began to appear just like in a video game. Along with them came the swarming hordes of all kinds of wild monsters and demonic beasts. In this post-apocalyptic world on the brink of extinction, humanity was forced to adapt in order to survive. They evolved a class gene that allowed them to wield extraordinary powers through a game-like system. This slightly grumpy-looking young man is Lam Truong Phong, a total bookworm. However, he has a deep-seated conflict with his family because many years ago, Lam Truong Phong was cast aside by his own parents. They treated him coldly because his abilities paled in comparison to his younger sisters. "You're just a rock in your sister's path, that's all. This world will be protected by us, not you." At 18 years old, Lam Truong Phong, like all others his age, entered the Tower of Class Change. He awakened his power and became a necromancer summoner, even though his academic theory scores were always at the top. To most people, the necromancer summoner was just a trash-tier class. Lam Truong Phong, however, didn't think so. As proof, despite being able to live a normal life, he still decided to take the qualification test. For professional players enduring the ridicule of all his peers. This test, compared to the final graduation exam, wasn't all that different. The assessment's objective was simple. They would enter a multi-level hidden realm together and overcome the dangerous trials inside. Anyone who cleared a minimum of 3 floors would be granted the status of a professional player. However, beyond the 3rd floor of the hidden realm, the dangers would increase exponentially. When the proctor shouted, "Begin!" Lam Truong Phong had already bolted forward, his speed leaving everyone else in the dust. Among them was Tae Yen Nyen, another top student who possessed the highly regarded Flame Burst Mage class. Very quickly, Lam Truong Phong reached the portal into the hidden realm. Even though Lam Truong Phong only awakened that supposed trash-tier class, his physical abilities are undeniably impressive. "He's so strong," the others remarked in awe. Lam Truong Phong became the first person to enter the hidden realm. When he opened his eyes, he found himself teleported into a forest. The instructors watching from outside couldn't help but a sigh in regret. Lam Truong Phong truly has excellent aptitude. It's just a pity that the class he awakened is so terrible. The spirits that Summoner can call forth are at best only comparable to a level 2 demonic beast, not much stronger than an ordinary person. In contrast, the girl Tae Yen Nyen is highly regarded because the Flame Burst Mage is a rare class, and far superior to a standard mage. It's well-rounded in both offense and defense, making it incredibly versatile in combat. After entering the hidden realm, Lam Truong Phong immediately encountered a mystic spirit rabbit. This minor wild monster was only level 1, perfect for a warm-up. However, the mere act of killing the mystic spirit rabbit left Lam Truong Phong drenched in sweat and exhausted. Even so, he had to persevere through the hidden realm. It wasn't for some noble ideal, nor was it for the fame of becoming a professional player, or the money that came with it. It was because many years ago he witnessed his parents being dispatched to the battlefield, gain from which they never returned. His younger sister, simply because of her talent, was forcibly taken away for training while he watched on powerless in this world. In this post-apocalyptic world born from the cataclysm, justice is a myth and the law protects no one, which is why Lam Truong Phong wants to become incredibly powerful to protect the ones he loves. But after killing the second mystic spirit rabbit, something far more terrifying appeared: a level 2 gray rat. According to the data provided by the system, monsters in this secret realm are divided into zones, and logically, they shouldn't be appearing this early. Realizing he stood no chance against this creature, Lam Truong Phong, a budding summoner, waved his hand to summon his undead servant. The creature he summoned was a rotting zombie, and as soon as it identified its foe, it immediately gripped its scythe and lunged toward the rat, but a sudden noise from behind made Lam Truong Phong jump. He spun around to see 3 more gray rats bursting from the earth. Meanwhile, his rotting zombie was still locked in a fierce battle with the first rat. Lam Truong Phong's mind raced, his nerves stretched taut. The appearance of this many level 2 mana beasts was clearly not normal. However, he wasn't a mere summoner who could only call forth one undead at a time. Back when Lam Truong Phong first awakened his class, he was met with endless ridicule because the basic undead he summoned consumed an immense amount of mana yet possessed the fighting strength of a mere mortal. From the base of the class change tower, countless voices echoed with laughter and scorn, but only Lam Truong Phong knew his class was no joke, for his system-granted profession had a unique hidden attribute called Monarch's Awakening, set to activate at level 6. Lam Truong Phong wasn't just any ordinary undead summoner. He was the undead lord himself. Awaken my servants, Lam Truong. Phong simultaneously summoned 3 more rotting zombies. Swiftly, the 3 gray rats were defeated. The experience points he gained allowed Lam Truong Phong to level up to 2, but a more vexing problem than he had imagined arose. The remaining gray rat simply wouldn't die. Its combat power seemingly inferior to the rotting zombies. It should have been sent to the grave just like its brethren moments ago. Lam Truong Phong commanded all 4 of his zombies to attack in unison, but the rat suddenly mutated. It sprouted a pair of bat-like wings, and its combat power skyrocketed as its temperament became even more ferocious. This was the Lord of the Grey Rats. How could it evolve so quickly? Lam Truong Phong couldn't believe his eyes, but even so, what did it matter? In situations like this, overwhelming the enemy with sheer numbers was always the best strategy. With that thought, he simultaneously summoned 3 more undead servants. The Grey Rat Lord used its new wings to soar into the air, temporarily dodging the assault. It then accelerated, diving straight for Lam Truong Phong. Smart move, he thought, but a pity that a direct assault like this won't save you from your demise. Lam Truong Phong, a powerful mage in his own right, clenched his fist and activated his skill Spirit Corrosion. Within a 5-meter radius of the user, all enemies suffer a massive mental attack that can suppress their very spirit. Sure enough, the Grey Rat Lord began to suffer a burning torment from within its mind, as if plagued by inner demons causing it extreme agony. Submit to me, Lam Truong Phong's voice echoed through the air, but just as the Rat Lord was writhing in torment on its forehead, a strange seal suddenly appeared. This seal then acted like a time bomb, detonating and causing the Rat Lord to explode violently. This development was completely beyond Lam Truong Phong's expectations. His Spirit Corrosion skill had absolutely no flaws, but it seemed another more powerful form of mental erosion was already embedded deep within the Rat Lord's mind, perhaps by some near-immortal being. This forced the creature, despite its misery and fear, to refuse submission to Lam Truong Phong and ultimately self-destruct. You have slain the level 4 Greywood Rat King. A new notification from the system arrived, allowing Lam Truong Phong to finally snap out of his tangled thoughts. Never mind, the most important thing now is to level up. Only by reaching level 6 can he activate that hidden attribute. My dear sister, just wait for me, I'll catch up to you soon. Meanwhile, Tae Yen Yen's party was also coordinating their efforts. They advanced smoothly, step by step, deeper into the dungeon. They had just defeated a level 3 steel bristle boar. Although the experience gained was decent, all 3 party members had used up a considerable amount of stamina. But Tae Yen Yen's ambition didn't end there. As a once-in-a-millennium flame-burst mage, she wanted to take down at least a level 5 monster. However, the other 2 on her team felt differently. They were just an ordinary beast tamer, practically a novice summoner and a restoration priest. The power of a level 5 monster was completely beyond their initial plan. The party's main damage dealer would need to be at least level 5. They'd need to coordinate with 2 level 4 supports just to have a chance at victory, while all 3 of them were stuck at a mere level 2. While the 3 were talking, the ground in this post-apocalyptic dungeon suddenly began to shake. Akit thought it was an earthquake, but Tune-Win felt something was off. It seemed as if something enormous was approaching them. As expected, Tae Yen Yen's wish was granted in the worst way. A massive level 6 stone ape appeared right in front of them. Its sheer size alone was terrifying, let alone its actual power. "This is bad, scatter now," Akiet yelled. Fleeing was their only option. The power gap was just too immense. If that thing targeted them, it would be game over. But Tune-Win was frozen in fear. Her class was just a support healer meant to buff the party from the back line. This was the first time she had ever faced a monster this massive, and her legs had turned to jelly. Seeing Tune-Win fall to the ground, the stone ape naturally wouldn't miss the opportunity to strike. Tae Yen Yen watched in horror. She couldn't just abandon her teammate, but Akiet was a step ahead of her, rushing forward to shield Tune-Win. He raised his shield to block the attack. As the stone ape's fist descended, Akiet suddenly thought of his elderly parents back home. Every player who entered this deadly game had to face life-or-death situations like this. He wondered if he would ever make it home to see his parents again. But even so, he resolved not to take a single step back. The beast's devastating punch slammed down with a thunderous crash, kicking up a cloud of dust and debris. Tae Yen Yen's heart sank. Akit Tune-Win thought her teammates were finished, but as the dust began to clear, Tae Yen Yen could see what had happened. And the sight was even more shocking. A scythe-wielding undead had just blocked the stone ape's attack, and with it, Lam Truong Phong appeared like a savior, a veritable undead lord. Lam Truong Phong, why are you here? Protecting those I must protect, isn't that the duty of every awakened player? The undead spirit that the powerful summoner Lam Truong Phong had called forth. It brandished the scythe in its hand. In a flash, the stone ape was cut down, completely overwhelmed. Yen Yen couldn't believe her eyes. Wasn't Lam Truong Phong's class supposed to be the most useless one? How could the nearly immortal undead he summoned make such short work of a monster? To think it could handle a level 6 beast like that? The stone ape, battered and bruised, hastily turned tail and fled. Qi Yanran was still completely stunned. She wanted to ask Lin Changfeng for an explanation, but in a flash he was already gone. Where did he go? A million questions raced through Qi Yanran's mind. That scythe-wielding undead was clearly the creature that Lin Changfeng, a powerful summoner, had called forth during the job awakening ritual. It easily defeated a level 6 demonic beast, something they couldn't do even in their wildest dreams. Was Lin Changfeng hiding his true strength? Just what level in the system had he reached by now? Are you two okay? Qi Yanran hurriedly ran towards her teammates. Reporting, Captain. My body is fine, but I think I might need to change my pants. Aji answered humorously, but when he saw Xiaoyan giving him a disdainful look, the guy had to scratch his head awkwardly and clarify that he was just joking. Did you two see Lin Changfeng just now? Both Aji and Xiaoyan nodded. A moment ago, Lin Changfeng's appearance was like that of a savior. The undead spirit he summoned made a few moves and severely injured the stone ape. As for Lin Changfeng himself, he had just chased after it in the direction it fled. They both found it very strange. His job class was supposedly so weak. So how could a seemingly low-level mage easily defeat a level 6 demonic beast with vast combat experience? Unless Aji was startled, as if he had realized something. That's right. It seems he was just pretending all along. His true strength is likely far beyond our wildest imagination. Meanwhile, Lin Changfeng was still in hot pursuit of the injured stone ape. He had realized something was off here. The higher the level of a demonic beast imprisoned in a secret realm, the more dangerous it is. Normally, level 6 demonic beasts cannot leave the central area, but this stone ape not only managed to get out, but also deliberately targeted him. Who gave you the order? The stone ape turned its head to look at Lin Changfeng with an incredibly cold stare. Oh right, monsters can't talk. As it happened, his mental corrosion skill had just been upgraded by Lin Changfeng, so it was the perfect time to test it on this monster. He immediately activated the skill and began to read the memories of the monster before him. Who broke my demon slave contract? Damn you humans, to think that a master would actually enter the secret realm this time. Lin Changfeng couldn't see much. The only thing he could observe was a sigil, identical to the one on the gray rat's forehead earlier. It seemed that both the stone ape and the gray rat were bound by the same person. At this moment, the stone ape's demeanor changed drastically. The sigil appeared on its forehead, and its sloppy and injured appearance from before vanished, replaced by a majestic and intimidating aura. So you are the human who killed several of this lord's generals. It seems you're the one behind all this, aren't you? Lin Changfeng was quite surprised to see the stone ape open its mouth to speak. It seemed the mastermind was now controlling it directly. You're just a level 5 human who was able to defeat Shan Zhao, but only by relying on some trick that affects the mind. Such things have no effect on this lord. This lord is a king-class demonic beast. Lin Changfeng was completely unfazed by his opponent's threats. He let out an "oh" with a look of amusement. If you're king-class, then defeating you must grant a whole lot of experience points, right? The opponent, seeing such a defiant human for the first time in this post-apocalyptic world, simply laughed without any other reaction. Such an arrogant brat who likes to show off. Just you wait. This lord's grand plan of revival to achieve an immortal dominion is about to succeed. Once I take over, you and your entire kind will become nothing more than my nutrients. Truong Phong didn't want to waste any more words on this guy and immediately ordered his spirits into battle the rotting undead. It wielded its scythe with a manic flourish, and after a while the mark on the stone ape's forehead began to fade, but the stranger's voice still echoed, "You think killing a level 6 demonic beast means you can defeat this immortal lord, huh? Wait until this lord succeeds and all of you will die." Finally, the mark vanished completely, and at the same moment the system sent a notification: Lam Truong Phong has defeated the level 6 demonic beast. The experience gained has caused you to level up. You have reached the required level. A hidden attribute is ready for activation. Lord Awakening Lam Truong Fong's entire body was enveloped in a dense black mist. The fog was so thick and vast that it reached Taeyen Nien's group, leaving them to grope around in the darkness. They finally found their way to where Lam Truong Phong stood, but the sight before them absolutely terrified Taeyen Nien. She was scared witless. A colossal spirit with a terrifying face hovered in midair, and the tall, slender figure standing there was none other than Lam Truong Phong. More terrifying still, the colossal spirit was respectfully addressing him with the title My Lord. The entire sky over Dao Then City quickly turned a grim gray, attracting the attention of people everywhere. People were chattering as something that looked like a great dragon soared across the sky. Is it a demonic beast invasion? Nonsense. Our Dao Then City has experts as numerous as the clouds. What kind of demonic beast could possibly attack us? Or maybe we should just check to see if there's any place in the city that's safe just in case. Standing in the crowd, an unfamiliar blue-haired girl was also observing the phenomenon intently. She quickly realized that this world-shaking phenomenon was because someone inside the secret realm had undergone their second awakening. It seems the high school students of Dao Then City aren't so bad after all. It's a shame I have to leave so soon. Otherwise, I would have met that genius student just to satisfy my curiosity. Meanwhile, the two people in charge of the secret realm were overjoyed. For the first time ever in Dao Then City, someone had awakened 2 times. This was a once-in-a-thousand-year event. It would bring them great honor compared to the other regions. However, as they tried to locate this genius, inside the secret realm they ran into a problem. The teleportation array not only transports students into the realm, but also allows them to monitor the situation inside. But now, no matter how hard they tried, the array was completely unresponsive. Could the unusual energy fluctuation from the second awakening have caused the secret realm to temporarily become inaccessible? But they feared the matter was far more serious because the teleportation array had shut down completely. Inside the secret realm, the grand ritual had been completed. Demonic beasts now poured out like a flood with nothing left to restrain them. The students wandering through the secret realm had no idea of the danger closing in. A group of 3, having just defeated a level 3 beast, were gloating about their strength. Everyone thinks that Taeyen Nien is some once-in-a-thousand-year talent, but they have no idea that I Trung Tom am the real wolf in sheep's clothing. While they were still basking in their victory, a new disaster struck. A level 6 orc suddenly appeared, blocking the path of the 3 of them. Having never seen a level 6 demonic beast before, they were naturally scared enough to wet their pants. But that wasn't all. Because right after that, the entire forest in the secret realm was suddenly swarmed with high-level magical beasts. What's going on? We clearly haven't even ventured deep into the realm, so why are these magical beasts appearing here? Cries for help echoed from all around. While outside, 2 supervisors were still struggling with the teleportation portal. They couldn't find the cause of the malfunction. All they knew was that an immense power within the realm was preventing the teleportation array from activating. This secret realm, a remnant of a post-apocalyptic era, was now a trap. The portal had lost its effectiveness and it was the only way in or out. Does this mean all the students currently inside the secret realm are trapped and can't get out? No way. The city we manage just produced a genius, and now he's stuck in a beginner's realm. Meanwhile, Lam Truong Phong was struggling with his new status as a powerful summoner. The being he had just summoned was a fallen angel whose voice could only be heard by an undead lord. Moreover, he could issue commands to it telepathically. Lam Truong Phong let out an intrigued, "Oh, so what can you do with your current authority?" "My lord, you can scan a 500-meter radius around us. Shall I initiate the scan? This authority is a function of the system." Lam Truong Phong mused, "It seems this is related to my level. The higher my level, the more privileges I'll receive." He agreed to the scan. After a moment, the fallen angel quickly returned the results in the 500-meter area. "Around us, there are 4 living life forms." Lam Truong Phong guessed that 3 of them were Taeyen Nien's squad, but there was one other person. Did they encounter an enemy or another student? "Can't you be more specific?" "I cannot distinguish specific life signatures. My lord's special reconnaissance can be performed through the abilities of the undead wraiths." The undead wraiths that were just mentioned are the rotting zombies that Lam Truong Phong the summoner can call forth. They and he were all upgraded. After he leveled up understanding the situation, Lam Truong Phong simultaneously summoned several undead wraiths to scout the surrounding area. Next, he found a secluded corner to test his new skill. Lam Truong Phong closed his eyes tightly, focusing his mind. When he opened them again, his body felt weightless, floating in the air. At this moment, his soul had possessed the body of an undead wraith. Unlike before, when he could only command them, Now he could even share their bodies, a feat worthy of an immortal being. In other words, these undead wraiths were now extensions of Lam Truong Phong himself from high above. He could observe all the strange happenings on the ground over there. A fire was blazing. Lam Truong Phong assumed it was Tae Yen Nian's group, but the people were nowhere to be seen. Lam Truong Phong once again had the fallen angel scan for life signs in the vicinity, but he never expected the result that came back. It was 0. This was completely illogical, as Lam Truong Phong felt a cold sweat form on his brow. It's only been 1 minute. How could 4 life signs just become 0? Did they leave? That's impossible, because the speed of travel in this secret realm's forest can't be that fast. Regardless of which side won the fight, they would have left some kind of trail. But his undead wraiths had already checked thoroughly. They couldn't even find footprints. It was as if they vanished into thin air. The more Lam Truong Phong thought about it, the more anxious he became. Living people can't just disappear like that. There must be some special method at play here. He suspected it was the monster they encountered, but Tae Yen Nian is an explosive flame mage, a prodigy who appears once in 1,000 years, and the outer edge of this realm is filled with low-level monsters. Even a level 6 magical beast shouldn't be able to take. The 3 people vanished in an instant just like that, leaving only one possibility. Lam Truong Phong recalled the demonic beast. The king-level beast he had encountered in the guise of a stone ape. He remembered its threat before it left with such power. Furthermore, based on its words, it seemed this entire secret realm was already under its control. What on earth was that bastard's ultimate goal? Lam Truong Phong's thoughts grew more chaotic the more he pondered. Sooner or later it would come for him. The enemy was in the shadows while he was exposed like a survivor in a post-apocalyptic world. Lam Truong Phong felt he couldn't just sit still. Rather than foolishly waiting for it to attack, it was better to take the initiative and strike first, acting on the thought immediately. As a powerful summoner, Lam Truong Phong summoned countless more undead spirits. They received orders to check every nook and cranny of the secret realm. They were not to miss a single secret entrance, and at the same time, Lam Truong Phong ordered them to kill every demonic beast they encountered. Meanwhile, Tiungyan, who had been unconscious, was just shaken awake by Tae Yen Nian and Akiet. When they regained consciousness, they saw many other parties gathered around them. It seemed as if everyone had been brought here by an invisible force. "Welcome, humans," a booming voice echoed out, emanating from a giant stone statue. "Where is this place? Is that stone statue talking?" Everyone fell into a state of confusion. "That is merely the guardian statue of this lord. Humans, look behind you." Following the instruction, everyone turned their gaze behind them. Sure enough, there was an enormous demonic beast on its chest, was the familiar insignia that Lam Truong Phong had already faced twice. This was the source of calamity, Jiu Ying, the boss of this secret realm, a king-level being completely surpassing ordinary demonic beasts. Surrounding it were countless other demonic beasts. On each of their foreheads, an identical insignia was carved. It seemed these beasts had all been forced into a binding contract. A binding contract with the boss. So many demonic beasts. Is that the boss, the talking demonic beast? Is this the boss's lair? Why are we encountering a boss here? Isn't this just supposed to be a regular assessment test? The surrounding atmosphere became extremely tense. Even though they hadn't truly clashed, every mage and warrior here could vaguely sense the danger of the source of calamity, Jiu Ying, a threat that defied the established system. "You humans have entered here time and again to slaughter my people. Do you truly believe I am incapable of anger?" The crowd was terrified. A boss is truly a boss. It didn't even need to act. A few threatening words were enough to make the atmosphere suffocating. Then the source of calamity, Jiu Ying, pointed directly at the guardian statue, inside which was an altar. If the professionals here would just enter that altar and offer up their loyalty, they would be forgiven. "Not only will I forgive you, I will also bestow upon you the power of the Lord of Calamity." Murmurs began to spread below. The Lord of the Source of Calamity was indeed a demonic beast recorded in the history books. It had turned dozens of humans into servants by signing contracts. However, that was a name that appeared a century ago now. They had no way to confirm if that Lord of the Source of Calamity was the same as the monster before them. "I have restored the altar that the Great Lord created back then. Now, as long as you step into that place, you will obtain the Source of Calamity contract and achieve a power that makes you nearly immortal. All things in this world will have to submit to you." The Source of Calamity. Jiu Ying continued its temptation, but Tae Yen couldn't stand it anymore. She was completely unfazed by the pressure from this self-proclaimed lord. Terrified, he was the first to object. "That's ridiculous. How could a human possibly serve a monster? If you're so powerful, then why don't you approach the altar yourself? I have already claimed a part of the contract, and the proof is something you've already seen. All the monsters in this place are my subjects, but this is only a fraction of the power of the Sadso. Calamity's origin. Only a human can fully inherit this power because the great Lord of Calamity's origin was once a human. This revelation threw all the class holders into chaos. They found it completely unbelievable. How could a monster of legend have once been human? Hoang Nguyen Kuan let out a loud laugh, feeling that humanity was so pathetic, hypocritical, and envious. That is how humans always treated each other in this post-apocalyptic world, but it was precisely because of that short-sightedness that humanity handed a great genius over to the demons on a silver platter, none other than the Lord of Calamity's origin, the one who founded the Calamity's origin contract. Now will you survive or perish? The choice is yours. The first person to turn was a blond young man named Soku. He took a few steps toward the stone statue. Where are you going? His teammate hurriedly tried to stop him. To the altar. Where else? If there's a chance to become powerful, why not take it? But before he could even step onto the stairs, a massive fireball flew out and exploded right in front of him. The caster of this attack was none other than the flame-burst mage Chi Yanran. Although she has a sharp tongue, she is a truly righteous and courageous mage who would never bow to dark forces. Are you an idiot? Humans and monsters are fundamentally incompatible. It brought us to this place, and you really think it was just to make us powerful? You know it's a trap, yet you still want to walk right into it? Soku let out a loud laugh. Someone like Chi Yanran, who has a rare class and a promising future, could never understand the desperation of someone like him. He was just a trash-tier swordsman. Even if his system allowed him to pass the trial and successfully became a professional player, he would have no potential to advance. After he returned from this secret realm, he could only struggle at the bottom rungs of society. But now suddenly there's an opportunity to change his destiny. Whether it's a conspiracy or a trap for me, it's a chance worth betting everything on. Ajia, seeing that the guy was a lost cause who couldn't be persuaded, told Chi Yanran to just let it go. The man had already jumped several steps, quickly approaching the altar. In his entire life of struggle, he had never even won a single scratch-off ticket, so this time he was betting his very life, hoping that for once he would get the main character's storyline. From the mouth of the stone statue, an eerie red smoke began to pour out. This smoke quickly enveloped the blond man's body as he tilted his head to the sky and let out a huge laugh, feeling an immense power coursing through his body. Very quickly, his level in the system shot up to level 7 and his aura changed completely. But his appearance also transformed. Half of his body was corroded, and he even grew horns, and his pupils turned a deep crimson, just like a monster. He was truly no longer human nor demon, but perhaps something close to an immortal fiend. Hoang Nguyen Kuan was extremely pleased with this appearance of his. Now let us begin the next step. Prove your loyalty to your great lord. How do I prove it? Hoang Nguyen Kuan revealed its hideous face along with its true scheme. By slaughtering all the humans, of course. The blond man Luke Leung drew his sword. He had truly become a servant of the monster, a loyal follower of his new summoner. Below the altar, the other adventurers were furious because the demonic beasts had destroyed their homes in this post-apocalyptic world, and that included Lu Liang's, yet now he was wanting to become a traitor to humanity. The powerful immortal lord figures outside will never forgive you for this betrayal. On one side were the enraged adventurers, and on the other was the great summoner Ju Ying with its horde of demonic beasts, all goading Lu Liang on. His ears were ringing, but his will, already corrupted by the dark system he accepted, was too far gone for him to think clearly. Lu Liang, my father is from the Grand Xia administration. If you dare help these demonic beasts attack humans, I'll definitely tell my father when we get out. This threat came from a beautiful long-haired girl. This privileged young lady successfully enraged Lu Liang. In his half-demon state, he leaped from the altar toward the girl, then without a shred of mercy, he drew his sword and swung it down. I hate those who act all high and mighty the most. Now the one in control here is me. The adventurers couldn't believe their eyes. This guy is insane. He actually killed someone. They frantically started to flee with only Chi Yinian's group holding their ground. Right now their only chance of survival was to team up. But the other adventurers didn't see it that way. Lu Liang had already reached level 7. They couldn't possibly win, so not trying to escape would be crazy, but the place Ju Ying had brought them to had no escape route. Lu Liang wielded his sword and began a wild slaughter. The scent of fresh blood seemed to drive him into a greater frenzy as power from the system surged through his body. This was the first time he had ever experienced such a feeling, so he became increasingly bloodthirsty, killing more and more people. Even his former teammates and classmates were now just living targets for him to unleash his power upon. Chi Yinian couldn't stand it anymore. Despite the level gap, she couldn't just watch this happen. Since they couldn't run anyway, she might as well try to fight. Back Lu Liang had long despised this genius young lady's condescending attitude. Even now you still think you're superior? What's so great about a rare class? What's so special about being a rising star? Mage. You're only level 2 and you want to challenge me? Dai Lu Liang seemed to pour all his strength into this single attack. He wanted to give Qi Yinian a humiliating death, but she didn't flinch. She immediately used the Phoenix Feather armor item to resist the pressure of his attack. However, the difference in their levels was simply too great. Qi Yinian was sent flying backward by Lu Liang's single blow, the Phoenix Feather armor. A level 6 defensive item is indeed rare, but against me it's a pity that it's still not enough. Lu Liang laughed heartily. Humiliating Qi Yinian brought him immense satisfaction. Anyone else want to fight, or should you all just come at me at once? Only now did Qi Yinian truly feel the difference in their power. Now their only option was to find reinforcements. Aji asked in confusion what reinforcements Qi Yinian is. The strongest person here, and even she was defeated so miserably, who else could possibly defeat Lu Liang? We still have Lin Changfeng, Qi Yinian said with absolute certainty. At that moment, Lin Changfeng had also discovered the problem deep in the forest. There was a barrier. No wonder he couldn't find their lair no matter where he looked. Luckily, his mental corrosion skill, after being upgraded to T rank, could leave a tracking mark on the target. The demonic beast that had previously clashed with Lin Changfeng flew back to the great summoner Zhu Ying's side in a panic to report, inadvertently revealing their location to him. Through the calamity origin, Beast Zhu Ying learned that the system registered another level 8 player outside, and all the demons had been wiped out by Lin Changfeng. This enraged him, but it wasn't the right time yet. Below the altar, Lu Liang was still on a murderous rampage, having completely transformed with blood-red eyes. He no longer looked half-human, half-demon, but had truly become a demonic beast, and in a flash, every class user, whether warrior or mage, was slaughtered. Only Qi Yanian's group and one other person were left barely holding on, but she too had reached her limit. Though she fought it, Qi Yanian finally collapsed before Lu Liang, and at the very moment she gave up all hope, the barrier suddenly exploded. A bewildered Lu Liang turned his head. The newcomer was none other than the undead Lord Lin Changfeng, who said, "Sorry I'm late." Before Lu Liang could even process what was happening, a sword had already pierced straight through his chest. Lin Changfeng moved in a blur to Qi Yanian's group, his eyes scanning the area. He was filled with sorrow, seeing that everyone else was already dead. Despite his best efforts, he was still one step too late, and seeing this, the calamity origin Zhu Ying grew furious. Lu Liang was the chosen heir of the great lord of the calamity's origin. If he had just killed a few more people, the plan would have succeeded. He never expected Lin Changfeng to interfere at this exact moment, completely ruining everything. So Zhu Ying commanded his beasts, "Someone kill him for me." Aji was incredibly anxious. Though he knew Lin Changfeng was powerful, the sheer number of ferocious post-apocalyptic beasts was overwhelming. Aji worried he couldn't fight them all alone, but Lin Changfeng said, "Don't worry, a summoner like me never fights alone." He meant that he still had his army of undead spirits, but Aji misunderstood the meaning of his words. He shouted, "I understand," and raised his shield to stand before Lin Changfeng, saying, "I will fight by your side to the very end." Lin Changfeng appreciated the sentiment, but Aji had been through enough. He couldn't let him join the fray again. Swiftly, Lin Changfeng summoned a massive army of undead spirits, and Aji quickly realized the demonic beasts were no match for these wraiths. Both sides, seething with killing intent, charged into a bloody clash. The battle was completely one-sided, but Lin Changfeng sensed something was off. He felt that the boss Zhu Ying's reaction when he killed Lu Liang was a bit strange. If Zhu Ying had gone to so much trouble to bring everyone here and create a successor, then when Lin Changfeng killed that person, he felt the boss's anger was just for show and thought, I think he never needed a successor at all. What he needed was just a conduit to activate the Calamity Origin's power. But just as he finished that thought, Lin Changfeng was sent flying by an attack. Xiaoyan's face turned pale with horror while the Calamity Origin Zhu Ying cackled maniacally. It had been a long time since he had met a human so intelligent they could see through his true plan. For decades, the bastard had been searching for a way to become truly immortal by completely inheriting the power of the Lord of the Calamity's origin. The power of the contract is not limited by race. Once he obtains it, he can make any living being submit to him. A perfect contract can absorb the power of its servants. The more contracts made, the greater the power becomes. Unfortunately, the power of a perfect contract would cause the user to lose their mind and sense of direction. But today he had finally figured out a solution to that problem. The downside of a complete contract is disorientation, but today this powerful summoner had finally devised a solution. That's why I meticulously placed a trap on Lu Liang. I used a portion of the contract's power to plant a mark back then, when that human stepped onto the altar. Once he completely loses control, my mark will activate. It's a pity you won't see. The day this venerable one escapes the secret realm's prison, human Lin Changfeng was sent flying by Huo Yuan Jiu Ying. His face was pale, and Xiao Yun and Aji's faces were drained of all color. Could this really be how it all ends? Of course not. Just then a voice echoed from behind the secret realm's boss. So that means all I have to do is kill you, and the contract will be voided. He frantically turned around. Behind him was an undead spirit, or more accurately, an undead spirit that was sharing a soul with Lin Changfeng. You're not dead. What a redundant question. With a main character's plot armor this strong wanting, to die is also difficult. Lin Changfeng had no time to bicker with him. He swung the scythe in his hand and the Monarch's authority effect was activated. Lin Changfeng's power was temporarily boosted tenfold. Go to hell. You bastard! Huo Yuan Jiu Ying was sliced in two by the scythe, a ridiculously anticlimactic death. Just an ordinary human. But where does your power come from? A king? The power of a true lord is something you can't possibly imagine, and I will slowly become that king. Lin Changfeng then struggled to his feet to the astonishment of Ajia's group. The wound on his chest healed in an instant. After becoming the undead lord, his almost immortal-like recovery and strength were truly astonishing. The secret realm's boss was dead, and Lin Changfeng received a stone, but the system notified him that it was not a boss drop. Even Fallen Angel couldn't scan this item because the item's grade exceeded its authority. At that moment, Ajai suddenly noticed something. Lin Changfeng, be careful, but it was too late. Lu Liang wasn't dead yet. He sent Lin Changfeng flying with a single blow. His physical power now far surpassed what it was before. It seems this guy is now completely controlled by the contract's power. The situation was deteriorating quickly, and he probably couldn't hold out for long. However, the secret realm's boss was dead, so the teleportation circle should have been reactivated. Lin Changfeng hurriedly ordered Aji's group to retreat first while he covered their escape. But Lin Changfeng, will you be okay alone, Xiao? Yan was still hesitant. Let's go. If we stay here now, we'll only be a burden to him. Ajai immediately picked up the unconscious Qi Yannian and pulled Xiaoyan away, leaving only Lin Changfeng, a powerful summoner, and his undead spirits to fight Lu Liang. But at this point, he was no longer Lu Liang, just a demon who had inherited the immense power of a post-apocalyptic monster, of the Lord of Calamity. Outside, 3 days had passed. The parents of the students had all gathered by the teleportation circle. They were furious, demanding an explanation from the competition's administrator. Just then, the circle lit up. Someone is at the teleportation point. Someone is coming out. Hundreds of eyes focused on the teleportation platform. Qi Yannian's party and one lucky surviving professional had safely escaped. Qi Yannian is the daughter of the director of this region's management bureau. Seeing his daughter injured, he rushed forward and held her tightly in his arms. Uncle, Qi, I did my best to heal Yannian, but unfortunately my rank as a mage is too low, Xiaoyan said helplessly. She was also completely exhausted. What happened in there? What about the others? Although Ajai was reluctant, he had to tell the truth. To be honest, in answer to that question, everyone else is already dead. Manager Qi and the 2 competition supervisors heard this, and their faces went pale. This was completely beyond their expectations, especially with so many parents below still waiting for their children. They needed a proper explanation, but how could they possibly explain this situation? Now standing outside the circle were several other young men observing with binoculars. They had snuck here from Shanxi just because they heard that a twice-awakened genius had appeared at this rural school, but given the current situation, none of the 4 who just came out were the ace they were looking for. The ones who just emerged are all trash. Was he really worth us waiting this long for? It seems. He was just some made-up figure, and that guy must have died in the novice secret realm. Let's go back to Shanxi. Sneaking out here this time. Just to watch the show, we're going to get a lecture from my older brother when we get back. As the 3 were preparing to leave, someone shouted a few times. Someone else is coming out, which made them pause. It's Lam Truong Phong. Lam Truong Phong is out. Lam Truong Phong successfully escaped using the teleportation array. He was lying sprawled out on the teleportation platform, his eyes shut tight. His entire body was covered in wounds. Akiet's group was extremely worried, screaming until their voices were hoarse. Lam Truong Phong, don't you die! Quick, get over here and see if he can still be saved. Of course, Lam Truong Phong wasn't dead, but these people were about to worry him to death. I'm still alive. Lam Truong Phong struggled to open his eyes, then laboriously sat up. Luke Luong inside the secret realm completely transformed into a demonic beast. That creature, a powerful monster, Lord was far beyond Lam Truong Fong's capabilities, even very experienced. Experts might not have been able to handle it. Luckily, it lacked self-awareness, otherwise even if he had 10 lives, it wouldn't have been enough. After Akiet's group left, Lam Truong Phong, a lone summoner, could only struggle to both defend and retreat, and finally managed to escape Lam Truong Phong. "It looks like you saved them," said the staff member in charge of the teleportation platform, his expression not looking too good. "Furthermore, the one who awakened a second time inside the secret realm was also you, Lam Truong Phong." Before he could answer, he suddenly felt his body being affected by some kind of invisible force. Was someone from below the platform? Launching a sneak attack, he tried to use his summoning spell, but his undead spirit seemed to have vanished completely. Lam Truong Phong fell into a panic. He wanted to ask the fallen angel what was happening, but only the cold system responded. "You are being affected by a powerful mage seal temporarily prohibiting the use of spiritual power." "Damn it, I just escaped death and now I'm being ambushed." Lam Truong Phong scanned, his eyes over the crowd. He couldn't figure out who had attacked him. The staff member saw that Lam Truong Phong's expression wasn't good, so he took 2 steps forward and clapped him hard on the shoulder. "What's wrong?" "Ah, I'm fine." It's so strange that feeling of powerlessness had quickly disappeared. Now Lam Truong Phong could feel his power returning to his body. "I'm very sorry. I know. You should be taken to the hospital for your injuries immediately, but before that you must answer a few of my questions." He said a few questions, but the interrogation lasted from morning until the moon was high in the sky. It was understandable, given the grim post-apocalyptic scene. Everyone else had died in the secret realm. As one of the only surviving witnesses, Lam Truong Phong had the responsibility to report truthfully what happened inside. After all, the families of the deceased desperately needed a clear explanation. And so Lam Truong Phong was interrogated by that staff member with the glasses and another person named Quach Hai. This Quach Hai was the class holders were adept at using mind manipulation techniques, so they were certain Leo couldn't lie. But they never expected the kid before them was an undead lord with immense spiritual power. That petty mind tricks from the enemy mage had no effect on him whatsoever, so Leo told them everything honestly. He concealed only one thing, which was the stone he obtained after killing the calamitous 9-headed Hydra. The aura lingering around the stone was very similar to undead energy, so his intuition told Leo not to let anyone know about it. While lost in thought, a strange voice rang out from behind him. "Hey you, we've been waiting for a long time." Leo's survival instincts honed in. This post-apocalyptic world kicked in instantly as he summoned 2 shield-bearing undead. He was just in time, otherwise the attacker would have sliced him in 2. The newcomers were 2 of the 3 young men who were spying with binoculars that morning, saying, "Wow, level 10 summons with stats comparable to level 13. Plus he can summon 2 at once, it seems. This kid really isn't your average rookie summoner, is he?" The 2 newcomers were very interested in Leo's abilities, and without saying more than a few words, they attacked. The man in black was a level 13 assassin according to the system, and he believed that even if Leo was a prodigy, he wouldn't be able to withstand a single one of his moves as the 2 undead stabbed his afterimage. The real assassin materialized behind Leo with a triumphant look on his face. Wrong guess, Leo was truly angry now. After a long day, he just wanted to go home but was ambushed. "I don't know what you want from me, but it seems you've messed with the wrong person." Leo no longer concealed the full power of the undead lord he was, and this pressure felt almost immortal. The man in black was terrified. How could this boy in front of him suddenly exude such a frighteningly oppressive aura? "Useless!" A loud shout echoed, and the voice belonged to yet another person, but the familiar aura made Leo's skin crawl. This was definitely the person who sneak attacked him this morning. It was the last member of the trio of onlookers from earlier whose name was Quinn, and the word useless was directed at his crony. After all, Leo was a whole 3 levels lower than him, so failing to capture such a kid was indeed a bit of a disgrace. "Who are you people?" Leo was extremely tense, but Quinn simply gave an order, ignoring his question. "You have 1 minute to capture him." Quinn once again used his magic sealing skill on Leo. His body immediately stiffened, and even his thoughts became sluggish. The assassin immediately seized the opportunity and landed several stabs on Leo, but luckily he had already summoned his 2 undead. Leo immediately shared his soul with them, and from the perspective of his undead, Leo saw his own body enveloped in a blue layer. Through his fallen angel system skill, he knew this was a magic prohibition effect invisible to the naked eye. Leo then glanced over at Quinn, whose eyes were also covered in a layer of this blue light. He quickly realized this skill was activated through eye contact, and if that's the case, Leo knew what to do. crashing hard into a streetlight and creating a loud bang. The powerful Lord Tansun's attention was immediately drawn away by the commotion. Just as he planned, Lam Truong Fong's body could move again, it seemed, as long as he was outside Tansun's line of sight. He wasn't affected by the magic suppression. In a flash, the young mage Lam Truong Phong appeared behind the man in black, leaving him utterly panicked. "You were supposed to be critically injured. How can you be standing now and with such speed?" He hastily attacked, but Lam Truong Phong deftly dodged. The boy understood the principle of taking out the leader to win the fight, so he commanded his undead spirit to fire a silver arrow straight at Tansun, but when it was just inches from his face, the arrow instantly shattered. It was because Tansun was protected by an invisible armor to see through my ability so quickly. "You're the first one," Tansun praised Lam Truong Phong openly, "but not running away was your most foolish decision." The man beside him cackled in agreement, his hand still tightly gripping a phone. Recording the entire battle, Tansun's armor was forged by a level 30 master craftsman from the system. Lam Truong Fong's level 10 summon couldn't even put a scratch on it. Tansun flashed a sinister smile. "Kid, I wasn't going to get involved, but I've changed my mind now. If you must blame someone, blame yourself for having a second awakening." Lam Truong Phong was incredibly tense. Even without a direct clash, he could sense Tansun's immense power. And it would be a tough fight for his sovereign-class undead spirit. Judging by that look, he truly intended to make mincemeat of him. It was no joke. Just then, Tansun's phone buzzed with a message from his older brother. The message said to meet within 1 hour. Tansun had snuck out this time, and if his brother found out, he would surely get a stern lecture. After weighing his options, he decided to spare Lam Truong Phong this time, but before leaving, Tansun didn't forget to leave a threat. "Kid, you got lucky this time, but remember, Takatin is not someone you can touch." Meanwhile, an employee in glasses was reporting the incident from the secret realm to his superior. Although the secret realm was sealed, this event was a stark warning of the dangers humanity faces in this post-apocalyptic world. "Right? You mentioned 5 kids survived what happened there." "Ah, I was just about to report to you, sir. This time in the novice trials. One of them shot up to level 10 in a single go. The city we manage has truly found a gem this time." The gem they spoke of was currently at home admiring the loot he'd acquired from the secret realm after his confrontation with Tansun. He knew his undead spirit could perceive many things invisible to the naked human eye, so Lam Truong Phong shared his soul with the spirit once more and carefully examined the stone. This item was indeed special. It emitted an aura very similar to the vengeful spirits. Lam Truong Phong suspected that his undead spirit's power might be able to activate it. Perhaps he could even become immortal. Acting on the thought, he drew a sword and struck the stone with all his might. Damn, the impact hurt so much that he could feel the ache himself, but strangely the stone didn't even budge. Lam Truong Phong refused to give up. If one couldn't do it, then 3 would. With 3 different weapons they attacked together, but the result was the same. The stone remained. It didn't budge at all, and the commotion was so loud that the downstairs neighbor had to open their window and start cursing up a storm. "It's the middle of the night. What the hell are you banging on? Are you insane?" Lam Truong Phong had to temporarily give up on the idea of activating the stone. This is so strange. The combined power of his 3 undead spirits, a core skill for any summoner, couldn't even leave a scratch. What kind of material is this? Even the best defensive artifact shouldn't be able to completely absorb all external force like this. Perhaps it's an immortal artifact. Or am I just too weak? Are my level and stats from the system too low? Lam Truong Phong started to doubt himself, but he had no other options. He had already used all his strength just now. He decided to put this stubborn thing away for now and study it later. Just then his phone rang. Lam Truong Phong answered it. It was that glasses-wearing staff member named Thoi Tam calling. Yesterday, after being attacked, Lam Truong Phong had asked him about the whereabouts of those guys. Today, after looking into it, it was confirmed that people from Hoa Thun were in the area for the Golden Scroll hunting competition. What's that? Will everyone from Hoa Thun participate? It's a competitive ranking event between the Hoa Thun guilds. If you're a core member of a club, you'd normally participate. It's a nationwide event with no restrictions. The prize is a golden scroll dropped by a high-level magic beast. Lam Truong Phong thought for a moment. He didn't care much about the scroll, but if it was a competition organized by Hoa Thun University, perhaps Kanye would also be there. Thinking of this, Lam Truong Phong made his decision. I'll go to Taesun to participate. What the heck? Taesun is a high-level magic beast zone with monsters all level 15 and up, and rumor has it a terrifying monster lord resides there. Kid, are you out of your mind? At this point, I'm still not sure who Takatin and Kanye are, but I guess we'll find out later. A few days later, Lam Truong Phong arrived at the Daiha transit station. This is the place everyone must pass through to leave the city in this post-apocalyptic world. Thoi Tam had agreed. Had to help him get to Taesun for the competition, but he wasn't comfortable letting Daiha's newly discovered treasure wander around alone. Therefore, Thoi Tam told Lam Truong Phong to go to the transit station, find a man in a cowboy hat, and go with him. Very quickly the man appeared, but he hadn't caught Lam Truong Phong's eye yet. The man who was at the called Uncle Key had 4 other people with him forming a party. Just like any other day they were Sipan heading out on a mission. However, today there was one more person in their team, and it was none other than Lam Truong Phong. Uncle Kai, you didn't tell us you were adding someone to the team? How are we supposed to split the resources now? The young man with the backward baseball cap grumbled in annoyance. Relax, he's just a level 10 kid. He's useless to us. When we get the resources, we won't have to share any with him. He started by saying, relax, but after old Kai said this, his team felt even more uneasy. Taesun is a high-level magic beast area. Protecting a useless level 10 mage is like I'm facing 2 level 15 monsters at the same time. No one here wanted to risk their lives. Add for a stranger. However, someone had promised old Kai that if he could get Lam Truong Phong to Taesun and back safely, and they would buy all the loot from this trip for 30% above market price. Even so, I still... Oh, don't agree. The young man in the cap was still adamant about not letting it go. Calm down a bit. If he were just a normal person, I wouldn't agree either, but this time is different. Before old Key could finish speaking, Lam Truong Phong appeared. Are you the beast hunting squad heading to West Mountain? Old Chi, a seasoned summoner, saw him and hurried over to greet the young man despite everything. After all, he was their cash cow, so they needed to be a bit enthusiastic, but the young man in the cap wasn't nearly as friendly. In his eyes, Lam Truong Phong was just a useless young master and F-rank good-for-nothing who would only hold them back. The moment they met, he activated an illusion skill on him, but who was Lam Truong Phong? He was the nigh-immortal Undead Lord. His mental fortitude was so powerful that he was automatically immune to all psychic attacks, and the other young man, a low-level mage, was forcefully repelled. He cried out, unable to withstand the backlash for a moment, while Lam Truong Phong remained perfectly calm, as if nothing had happened at all. He shot a venomous glare at him, thinking to himself that something about this kid felt off, almost sinister. Lam Truong Phong had also realized this man didn't want him on the team at all, as old Kai handed him the travel pass. Lam Truong Phong obediently took it, but he was already plotting to find an opportunity to slip away later. Kid, once we get to West Mountain, you better stick close to us and don't go looking for trouble. Let me give you a quick rundown of this Mana Crystal Hunter Squad. Mana Crystals are the core material for forging weapons and for research and development. In this post-apocalyptic world, Mana Crystals with different attributes and qualities are in high demand and sell for a very high price. Because they only exist inside magic beasts of level 15 or higher, ordinary people can't harvest them. They have to commission other combat-capable job holders, which is why this Mana Crystal Hunter Squad was formed, specializing in these missions. Through a teleportation gate, Lam Truong Phong and the squad quickly arrived at West Mountain. So what do we do first? Normally we'd start searching for prey nearby, but this time is different. Old Kai grinned smugly. I got intel that there's a heavily injured golden magic beast on West Mountain. Everyone's eyes lit up at the mention of a golden magic beast, but only Lam Truong Phong didn't understand its significance. The only woman on the team was shocked. This kid's level in the system is low, and his knowledge is so poor. She quickly brought him up to speed. The mana crystal of a normal magic beast is black, while the crystal of a rare one is yellow. Hence the name Golden Magic Beast. This type of beast can drop a golden scroll, so they're highly sought after. Lam Truong Phong was startled. Isn't that golden scroll the competition prize Thoi Tam mentioned a few days ago? It seems that by following this group, I might meet the people from Hua-Thun University sooner. A golden magic beast's crystal is incredibly valuable. If old Kai's intel is true, then they have a chance to get rich this time. Where did you hear that from? Old Duong, I know you're cautious, but I'm sure you don't want to pass up this chance, do you? Old Kai pulled Lam Truong Phong close, hugging him like a sack of gold. To be honest with you, I agreed to bring this kid along. Is also for that golden scroll. That thing is too hot for us to handle, but I've already found a buyer. It's the people from the Daiha Management Bureau. Hearing that old Duong had no further objections. Although he still felt that things weren't that simple, the rest of the squad was already lost in the excitement of getting rich soon. Of course this hunt won't be simple. Old Kai waved his hand, acting as a summoner and calling forth a giant eagle. Because our target this time is the green-faced viper, a green-faced cobra-type magic beast. Level 21 of the rare golden magic beasts. For any other mage, this creature is incredibly difficult to subdue. But that snake possesses a certain ability. Its most terrifying ability is its hallucinogenic sound waves. Even if it were severely injured, an ordinary person couldn't get near it in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, and the eagle that the summoner Old Chi just called forth happens to have the ability to counter this type of sound wave. Nice this time. Victory is practically guaranteed. I'm definitely going to buy that S15 gaming console I haven't been able to afford for years. Yeah, and I'll buy the best combat gear available in the system shop. To upgrade myself, I'll give my parents enough capital to start a business so they won't have to struggle anymore under the rule of our Lord the whole group. Had the words money, money, money sparkling in their eyes like stars? Lam Truong Phong was just about to speak when he was cut off. No. Share for you, I just wanted to ask when we're leaving. Lam Truong Phong chuckled. These guys, unlike a true lord, were completely obsessed with money. With their lives, especially those two young guys in baseball caps. In this post-apocalyptic world, it seemed they hadn't let go of their hostility towards him from the very beginning. Old Chi, the experienced summoner, didn't want to linger and immediately announced it was time for everyone to set out. Before they left, he didn't forget to remind Lam Truong Phong, real combat and theory are worlds apart. The system can give you stats, but when we approach the green-faced viper, you must stick close behind everyone and not act on your own. This beast is no job for a novice mage. Don't worry. Lam Truong Phong obediently agreed. Seeing his obedience, the old summoner felt somewhat relieved. He leaped onto the eagle's back. Traveling by air would save time and reduce the unnecessary trouble so common in this post-apocalyptic landscape. So the whole team followed Old Chi's lead, jumping onto the eagle's back as well. As the six of them flew over a forest, they were noticed by a creature. Using a skill from its system, it only needed a single glance from a great distance to ascertain the level of each person too. At level 17, 3 at level 15, and one other guy. Why is the last one's level so low? Oh well, it doesn't matter. A mosquito's leg is still meat, the beast thought, feeling like the lord of this forest. Ha! Up above, the group was completely unaware they had been targeted. They flew on, straight to their destination. A deep dark canyon, a scar on the post-apocalyptic earth. The eagle couldn't fly down due to the narrow terrain, so Old Chi gave the order to the team, quick, lower the ropes, down in the cave. Besides the green-faced viper, there are also many smaller snakes. As a veteran summoner, he cleverly told Lam Truong Phong to wait up top, saying they were afraid they couldn't look after him down there. In reality, they were afraid this low-level mage would drag the team down, so the plan was to go down first, clear out the smaller snakes, and only let Lam Truong Phong, who they were treating like a useless young lord, follow once it was safe. Lam Truong Phong agreed on the surface, but inwardly he had his own plans. Ever since they arrived, the mysterious stone connected to his system had been reacting strangely. He couldn't just stay up here and do nothing. That wasn't the path to becoming an immortal. Therefore, as the rest of the group was rappelling down the ropes, Lam Truong Phong, a secret summoner, also commanded an undead spirit to quickly dive down into the mouth of the cave. The stone wouldn't react so violently for no reason. Lam Truong Phong was 99% sure that deep inside this post-apocalyptic cave there must be something wrong. A moment later, the other 5 people reached the bottom of the cave. Down here, the atmosphere was incredibly gloomy and eerie, a place where not even an immortal would feel at ease after walking. A few steps, Old Yang, a perceptive mage, suddenly signaled for everyone to halt. Just as expected, something was wrong. Ahead of them was a swarm of snakes with green eyes and green scales writhing in a mass that was enough to give you goosebumps. The aura they emitted wasn't strong, but in this post-apocalyptic world, any threat had to be taken seriously. After a moment of observation, was all the level 10, they were likely guardian snake servants to a more powerful lord. Based on their presence, the level 20 snake was definitely not far off. Normally, guardian snakes should be between level 12 and 14, according to the system database. This weakened state only occurs when the mother snake is injured. That's it. Old Chi. It seems your intel was spot on. We've hit the jackpot, but don't celebrate just yet. Even if the mother serpent is weakened, it's a second-rank magic beast too. Old G said so, but he was so happy his smile stretched from ear to ear as the guardian snakes appeared. Realizing an intruder was present, they all launched a simultaneous attack. The entire demon crystal hunting squad immediately took their positions, and Old G, the team summoner, began his incantation. He summoned 2 mini fierce eagles. Eagles are the natural enemies of snakes, making them perfect for this battle. The others also sprang into action, each with their own weapon, furiously slashing at the horde of snakes. This entire scene was being watched by Lin Changfeng in his undead form, who observed carefully. He found it extremely strange because on these small snakes, besides their regular aura, there was another source of energy fluctuating. Furthermore, after a normal monster is defeated, its body should quickly dematerialize. But the small snakes killed by Old G's group had remained completely intact. Suddenly, from the corpse of one small snake, two strange green orbs emerged. Before Lam Truong Phong could even react, they exploded. A green mist enveloped all 5 members of Old G's group, who instinctively covered their noses. "Hey, use a skill to disperse this poison gas quickly." The man in the hat signaled to the only woman on the team, but she, the designated mage, looked extremely panicked. I can't use any of my skills." Old Yang was now suffocating and coughed up a mouthful of blood. They had never heard of green-faced snakes having such an ability. While the group was struggling with the poison gas, one of the green snakes suddenly began to speak. It chuckled. "Old G, how about that intel I sold you? Pretty reliable, huh? It's you, Poison Bone. You did this." Why Old G, now realizing he had been completely set up, was furious. "Haha, don't be surprised. I never thought a renowned lord of the adventuring world like you would one day be so mesmerized by the golden scroll of a gold-rank magic beast that you didn't even bother to investigate your intelligence source. You ask why? Because I am a hunter." Lam Truong Phong in his undead guise was still hidden, carefully to the side, listening in on the situation. At that moment, the green snake opened its mouth wide and a hideous creature crawled out. It was the same one that had been watching Old G's group as they flew over the forest. Suddenly, the cave began to rumble violently. The situation was growing increasingly unstable. The guardian snakes outside had been defeated, so the boss had also been awakened. On one side was the green-faced venomous snake, which was heavily injured, and on the other was the poison demon crystal hunting squad. It was a fair fight in this post-apocalyptic world. The hideous creature laughed with increasing delight. "What a pity! This beautiful young lady, if you're willing to become my personal healer, I might consider saving you." Damn it, Old G's group knew they had been tricked and wanted to settle the score with the hideous creature, but it vanished in a flash. Before it left, it didn't forget to leave a message. "See you in 1 hour." It hoped Old G's group could hold out until then. In reality, this hideous creature was merely a messenger. The true mastermind was actually sitting at the cave entrance, eagerly watching the drama unfold. He had gone to great lengths to set this trap just to watch the two sides fight it out, so he could reap the rewards. But I wonder where that young man went. Whatever. A mere M-ranker from the system can't cause any trouble anyway. I'm too lazy to look for him. Of course, even if he searched, he wouldn't find him because Lam Truong Phong had carefully tucked himself away in a corner, secretly observing this sinister man. The man was so flamboyant, he even set up a lounge chair and a parasol, acting like some immortal on vacation. He was waiting for Old G's group and the mother snake to critically injure each other so he could swoop in and claim the spoils. Lam Truong Phong continued to meticulously observe every move. Just then, the man received a sudden call. The person on the other end, that guy was clearly furious. "Doc Titch, what do you think you're doing? Just handling a personal matter? You have a problem with that. You're trying to police me. I don't care what you do other times, but don't forget our target. This time is from Hua Than. If this plan fails because of you, I will personally drag you to hell." The person on the other end hung up. That bastard, that Doc. Tick seemed to lose his patience, muttering curses. In his monologue, Doc Titch accidentally revealed that another Hua Than team was joining and that their squad included a beautiful and talented young lady. Kan Yi Lam Truong Phong wondered. The thought agitated him, causing him to make a slight noise. "Who's there?" Doc Titch's senses were incredibly sharp, and he instantly detected the disturbance. Before Lam Truong Phong could even react, he was engulfed by a massive explosion from the powerful mage. His entire body was battered and severely injured. The system continuously flashed warnings. Doc Titch, a formidable foe, had just annihilated 5 of his wraith spirits, which was equivalent to 5 of his lives. If this continued, the summoner Lam Truong Phong might fall into a vegetative state. "I was wondering where the last one went. Turns out you were skulking around here." Doc Titch looked at Lam Truong Phong with a triumphant gaze. At this moment, Lam Truong Phong began to feel true fear. Compared to Tan San from a few days ago, this man seemed exponentially stronger. He had to think of a countermeasure fast, or he'd be meeting his maker. But Doc Titch didn't press the attack. The two were locked in a tense standoff for a long moment before he finally spoke. "Don't worry, I have absolutely no interest in a low-level punk like you. Get lost." Lam Truong Phong thought he misheard. This monster of a man was actually sparing his life, but he couldn't afford to overthink it. He immediately turned to flee. But just then, disaster struck again. that grotesque lizard-like creature burst from the ground. Compared to when it faced Lao Kai's group, it was now much larger. It opened its massive maw filled with razor-sharp teeth and chomped down on Lam Truong Phong. That bastard Doc Titch was untrustworthy after all. He laughed heartily as if enjoying a spectacular show. I said I'd spare you and you actually believed me. How utterly naive. The moment Lam Truong Phong turned his back to flee was a silent admission of fear, confirming for Doc Titch that the boy's power was no match for his own. The more he thought about it, the more thrilled he became. The feeling of personally granting hope, only to cruelly snatch it away from his prey, was truly a pleasure for this self-proclaimed lord of the post-apocalyptic wastes. Of course, Doc Titch could never know that Lam Truong Phong was still alive. Since upgrading his spiritual skill, he could share his very soul with his spirits, which had repeatedly allowed him to escape death, making him seem almost immortal. Lam Truong Phong's physical body was now inside the lizard's stomach. He commanded Fallen Angel scan this target. Scan successful. The target is a mecha lizard. The god-tier professional system can seize control of any object within its jurisdiction. The conditions for this target have been met. Seize control. Faced with this prompt from the system, Lam Truong Phong didn't need a second thought. Oh, this is perfect. The moment the hunter becomes the hunted is something to look forward to. Meanwhile, in the cave, Lao Qi's party was struggling desperately. Their group lacked a high-damage dealer. They could only form a defensive line to slowly chip away at the green-faced venomous serpent's health. But the boss attacked with a suicidal frenzy. The team's healer was rapidly exhausting her stamina and was about to collapse. We can't hold on any longer, damn it. If that bastard hadn't ambushed us with that poison bone, we wouldn't be in this miserable state. In the end, their formation couldn't hold. All 5 of them were sent flying by the mother serpent as Old Yang coughed up another mouthful of blood. The remaining members were completely exhausted. Just then, Old G, a veteran summoner, fused his body with his fierce eagle, spreading its wings and flying straight towards, the boss monster. I'm the one who brought the team here. I have a responsibility to get everyone back safely. I'll risk my life against you. But Old G's strength was no match for this beast. It opened its massive maw and swallowed him whole, while the other 4 were still. In shock, a black shadow shot forward like an arrow, piercing straight through the monster's neck. Its final defense had been shattered. It collapsed to the ground. That black shadow was none other than the Undead, being an almost immortal vessel for the soul of Lam Truong Phong. He quickly seized the opportunity, pulling Old G out from the monster's throat. Is the boss defeated? What just happened? I couldn't even see a thing. The dust was too thick. Old G couldn't get a clear look at his rescuer, but as a longtime summoner, he could sense its aura and immediately suspected it was also a summoned creature. How long have you been hiding in this post-apocalyptic wasteland? Why did you save me? Are you a minion of that hunter faced with Old G's relentless questioning? Lam Truong Phong remained silent from beginning to end. Forget it. A summoned creature like you can't even talk. What was I expecting? From you anyway. But then Lam Truong Phong finally spoke. Startling Old G, he began to doubt his own intuition. Was the being before him truly a summoned creature or not? If it was, why could it speak? Are you like that mecha lizard? All you need to know is that I'm on your side. If you want to live, then answer my questions. Lam Truong Phong, of course, couldn't reveal his true identity. He could only continue his mysterious act. Old Yang's group now saw him standing with Old G, but Lam Truong Phong's undead form, Shibo, was too blurry to make out clearly. Lam Truong Phong asked Old G about the Thunder Pearl, the item he had just used to go all out against the Mother Serpent, because besides the boss, there was still another enemy. A powerful mage at the cave entrance he needed to deal with. If Lam Truong Phong wanted one, Old G did indeed have another. However, while the item was powerful, it was a close-range weapon. Its damage was purely internal, specializing in destroying organs. Conversely, it wasn't very effective against a monster's tough hide unless you could make him swallow the Thunder Pearl. But how is that even possible? Lam Truong Phong didn't have any more time to explain to Old G, because from the cave mouth, a series of loud noises echoed. It seemed Doc Titch had returned right on schedule after 1 hour. Sure enough, right after that, a cackling laugh resounded. My friends, I'm on my way. The moment Old Yang's group heard it, their hair stood on end. There's no mistaking it, that bastard is back. Doc, Titch was quite surprised to see the mana crystal hunting party was still alive. Moreover, compared to when he left, their injuries didn't seem much worse. He had assumed the green-faced vipers would be the ones, to emerge victorious. He never expected old Jai's group to successfully take down the monster. Doc Tick clicked his tongue in regret. He had just wasted all the experience points from a level 20 magic beast that his system would have logged. Furthermore, the green-faced viper didn't even drop a golden scroll upon death as expected. For a mere level 20 magic beast, the drop rate for a golden scroll is still quite low. However, the number of mana crystals belonging to that golden magic beast, not bad at all. I can gladly accept that. The young man in the baseball cap prized money like his own life. Naturally, he didn't want to just hand over the hard-earned resources to the self-proclaimed Lord Du Shi. So as soon as he heard him speak, he rushed forward to the pile of sparkling gold magic crystals. Du Shi looked at him and found it ridiculous. If you want to seek death so badly, he would of course grant your wish. Du Shi, like a powerful summoner, ordered his mechanical lizard to finish off the opponent. But this thing had already been hacked by Lam Truong Fong's system and just stood still in its place. Is there a malfunction? Du Shi was bewildered. Oh well, it's best if I handle this myself. Du Shi's hand shot out a beam of light. The work of a skilled mage aimed straight at the young man in the baseball cap. He was knocked backward and the pile of magic crystals was also blasted apart, scattering everywhere. This attack was too powerful, knocking him out instantly. Du Shi was extremely satisfied seeing his opponent's pathetic state. Who gave you the right to take another's things right in front of their master? How is that any different from robbery in this post-apocalyptic world? Du Shi said with a casual tone, as if this pile of magic crystals truly belonged to him. He then conveniently picked up the largest crystal and admired it in his hand. It seemed he was quite pleased with his spoils of war. Just at that moment, Lam Truong Phong commanded the mechanical lizard to strike Du Shi with a single blow. The attack wasn't fatal, but it immediately threw him into a state of confusion. What is going on here? Du Shi turned his head to look at the lizard, which was clearly fine a moment ago. While his guard was down, the necro spirit, carrying a part of Lam Truong Fong's soul, closed in for a sneak attack. The scythe in its hand swung fiercely, cutting a long gash across the opponent's back. Du Shi was even more horrified. There was another person ambushing him from both sides. Who are you, the immortal reaper, here to take your soul? Lam Truong Phong replied calmly. One couldn't deny that the appearance of this necro spirit, wielding a scythe, truly resembled the god of death. Everything changed so quickly the tables had turned. Old G's group now stood up straight, glaring at him with murderous intent in their eyes. You're done for now. You bastard! Du Shi knew he had been tricked and threw his head back, laughing maniacally. He didn't have much time, so he intended to give Old G's group a quick and painless death. But after this ambush, Du Shi was truly enraged. He wanted to torture these people slowly, to let them experience a fate worse than death. Du Shi tightly gripped the largest magic crystal in his hand. Old G and Old Yang were both experienced individuals and immediately sensed that something was wrong. Gold magic crystals could heal wounds and replenish stamina in an instant. Although its raw form wasn't as effective as a refined one, it was still a very good item. Looking at the situation, it seemed that Du Shi was planning to swallow that magic crystal whole. Exactly. Even though swallowing it directly is the least efficient method of absorption, this pile of your magic crystals is enough to compensate me. Very quickly, the huge magic crystal was swallowed whole into his stomach. This was not outside of Lam Truong Fong's calculations. You're correct, but you're missing one thing. What if the item you just swallowed wasn't the crystal of a golden magic beast? At that moment, Du Shi's stomach suddenly began to twist in agony. Now Du Shi was truly panicking. It seemed Lam Truong Fong's plan had succeeded perfectly. The thing he had just swallowed was not a magic crystal, but the thunder pearl that he had asked Old G for earlier. Lam Truong Phong was not someone who only relied on brute force. He had noticed earlier that within the crystal hunting squad, there was a powerful mage who could use illusion magic. His mind had already devised a plan to make Venom swallow the thunder pearl. He just needed the old-timers to cooperate with him. At that moment, the thunder pearl exploded inside Venom's body, destroying his internal organs. The moment that bastard fell, the few people in the team collapsed in exhaustion. Luckily, the plan had succeeded. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had the strength left for a final desperate fight. Lam Truong Phong, in his form as a necromantic summoner, advised them to leave quickly instead of resting right now, because behind Venom was an entire hidden organization likely led by a powerful lord, and there was no telling when its members would come looking for them. The young man in the helmet was reluctant because they hadn't even searched the lair of the green-faced venomous snake where there might still be treasure. We don't need it. Let's retreat. The young man still didn't want to leave, but old Duong assessed the team's overall condition. They were all weakened. insisting on finding treasure in this post-apocalyptic wasteland now would be gambling with their lives. Besides, old Duong looked towards Lam Truong Phong. He saved us from that predicament. Let's just leave the spoils as a thank you gift. And even if we didn't with his real strength and the strategy he just displayed, do you really think we could compete with him in our current state, old Duong? Earnestly persuaded the young man who finally saw reason. The mechanical lizard twisted for a moment and finally Lam Truong Phong was able to jump out of it. Using his own body was definitely the most comfortable. Lam Truong Phong glanced towards Venom's body. He felt something was strange as the man's appearance seemed to have changed. With his system on hand, nothing was too difficult. Lam Truong Phong had his system scan the body and discovered that the item Venom was wearing was a disguise cloak. With this item, not only one's appearance but even their voice could be changed. Furthermore, in Venom's inventory, there were quite a few valuable items. Lam Truong Phong didn't hesitate for a second and immediately claimed everything for himself. He obtained the disguise cloak, some potions, 500,000 credits, and a skill book. Among all these items only, the skill book truly caught his attention. Besides a mage or any other expert gaining skills upon leveling up, there was also another way using skill books. And skill books originated from treasure scrolls. Lam Truong Phong read the description from the system but still didn't understand a thing. So what are treasure scrolls? Rare monsters of gold grade or on higher have a chance to drop a treasure scroll of a corresponding level upon death. A treasure scroll can reveal skill books, experience books, rare materials, treasure maps, and various other priceless treasures, some even rumored to grant a path to becoming immortal. Now I get it. He understood it a little better now, so the golden scrolls people always talked about could be opened to reveal rare items including this skill book. Moreover, the system also enlightened Lam Truong Phong about the concept of rare magical beasts, which means, and their rarity surpasses even gold-grade magical beasts. In the world today, 75% of magical beasts are of common bloodlines, 20% are gold bloodline magical beasts, and only the remaining 5% are the even rarer magical beasts. Lam Truong Phong decided to use the skill book. Unexpectedly, he had some good luck and directly obtained a level 12 combat skill called Shadow. Cut. Its effect allows an undead summoner to merge their summons into any dark place that cannot be seen through and then suddenly launch a critical strike. However, Lam Truong Phong was currently stuck at level 10, so unfortunately he couldn't try using this new skill yet. At the same time, that stubborn, mysterious stone began to react violently again. Lam Truong Phong stared intently at it. The stone is being drawn in a certain direction. Does this mean there's something even better in this cave? That glowing object is actually an incubating serpent egg. The reason the golden magic beast was weakened wasn't due to injury, but because the egg was siphoning the power of the mother serpent, a beast that was nearly immortal. The mother serpent. The stone in Lam Truong Phong's hand immediately began to absorb its energy, and his experience points in the system met the requirement to level up to level 11. So this stone can convert raw energy into experience points. Just like that, his level in the system rose to 12 and the Shadow Cut skill was unlocked. Suddenly he was thrown back by a surge of power from the egg it was resisting. The stone. The cave is about to collapse. Lam Truong Phong knew he had to get out immediately, but it was a shame because he could feel that he was on the verge of leveling up again. He tried to retrieve the stone but couldn't pry it loose. It's just a piece of this energy stone. I only allow it to absorb energy because I will it, yet it dares to defy me, a powerful lord of the spirits. The cave exploded moments later. Meanwhile, the blue-haired girl sensed someone approaching and her face lit up, saying a friend had come to save her. The two thugs were completely baffled. What nonsense was this? In this deep post-apocalyptic forest, there isn't a single soul. Even if a hero were to save a damsel in distress, he'd save this punk-haired beauty first, while the two lunatics were busy hitting on her. A figure actually appeared. The two immediately became wary, assuming a combat stance and warning him not to meddle in the affairs of others. The girl, on the other hand, was overjoyed knowing her classmate would save her. If they teamed up, dealing with these two freaks would be a piece of cake. But the stranger didn't seem to care about the situation and just walked away. The two thugs gloated, "Ha ha, what a useless friend. He's just some random passerby, isn't he? When he saw us, the twin killers of West Mountain, he didn't even dare to breathe wrong, and just scurried away. The twin killers of West Mountain don't bother with cowards." Suddenly he heard the girl mention she was from Xuanhua First High. He seemed to recognize the name. If he saved her this time, she would surely not be ungrateful to her savior. The two thugs demanded she shut her mouth and hand over her belongings. She said in fear that this time she had come to West Mountain with people from the Azure Lotus Guild. Weren't they afraid it was true they weren't? The Azure Lotus Guild is nothing. West Mountain is huge. All we have to do is hide a little deeper and they could search for a lifetime and never find us. The mysterious figure then asked the girl if she knew people from Huaching University. She eagerly confirmed that she knew the second largest guild. From Huaching, the raid team sent to West Mountain. They needed her mystic spirit information ability, which means she's also a skilled mage, a part of the raid team. She just had to leave temporarily for a few reasons. If he helps her, she'll introduce him to them, but first they had to deal with these two freaks. The punk-haired thug looked at the mysterious man with contempt and told the girl not to get her hopes up thinking that coward could help her. Just obediently hand over her things and they wouldn't make it difficult for her. She immediately transformed into her spirit form to escape, but it seemed this trick was all too familiar to them. Once bound, how could you possibly escape? This time her escape distance was shorter. It seems that after running for a full day, her stamina was nearly depleted. The mysterious onlooker witnessed everything, unsure what kind of skill that was. The two thugs began transforming into werewolves. The punk-haired one had marked her with his scent, so even if she could teleport, they could still find her. But first they wanted to eliminate the obstacle in their path. Their class was a type of beast summoner, allowing them to take on such forms. His speed, strength, and olfactory senses are all massively enhanced in his beast form. They rushed in to fight, but a level 13 necrospirit quickly counterattacked. The other guy was still acting smug, revealing himself to be a summoner. Just a level 13 summoner at that. I thought you were some kind of master. Yet here you are trying to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. Ha ha ha. Hey kid. This post-apocalyptic place. Taesun is no playground for a fool like you. Scram and go cry to your mommy, level 13. And so what if you're level 16? If even a mutt can come to Tae. Son, why can't he stop barking and come bite me? The other guy, being insulted to his face, became enraged. His blood boiling, he charged forward with all his hatred. Provoking him might be incredibly dangerous, but this was also the perfect opportunity to test a new skill granted by his system. This was his second beast transformation, and his current energy fluctuations had already reached level 18. I shouldn't confront him directly. However, he can only sustain that form for 3 minutes. I just need to stall for time, and then if that's the case, he won't go all out either. The necrospirit swung its deathly axe down in one mighty blow, forcing the transformed beast to be shocked. This summoner's creature is clearly only level 13, so why is it this powerful? Instantly, he also sensed a murderous aura, so he quickly fell back. His blonde-haired sister couldn't understand why her brother was evenly matched with a mere level 13 summoner. Her brother still couldn't pinpoint the source of that killing intent. It wasn't from the blue-haired girl, and it wasn't from the mysterious cloaked figure either. The murderous aura wasn't even coming from the summon itself. So where on earth was it originating from? He panted heavily, his eyes bloodshot with fury. The Taesun twin killers had escaped death in Taesun many times over the years, precisely because they possessed the keen instincts of a wolf. But there was clearly only one summon on the field, so why were there two distinct streams of killing intent? Could there be another summoner hiding nearby? If so, where was he? After waiting for so long with no move from his opponent, the cloaked figure had to act first. The necrospirit charged forward and the situation became critical, hanging by a thread. There was no more time. The man had to do something or he would die, and so he decided to use his ultimate technique. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head in surrender, to the absolute astonishment of everyone present. His expression was now utterly pathetic. He was completely subdued. The Taesun twin killers, as they called themselves, had never actually done things like murder and robbery before. Besides, being level 16 in Taesun meant they were nothing special. Meeting a powerful lord like this was truly a great honor. The mysterious figure thought they were just spouting nonsense. Weren't you just about to commit murder and robbery? The man quickly explained that the girl was the real thief. They were only chasing her to retrieve a precious treasure she had stolen from them. Hearing this, the girl flinched and acted completely innocent. She claimed to be the righteous one and that they were slandering her. The younger sister flew into a rage. Her brother, a level 18 Azure Wolf, was scared out of his wits by a level 13 mage and had surrendered so quickly. In the future they would probably have to change their name to the Taesun Twin Cowards. The Azure Wolf quickly explained to his sister that this was simply being pragmatic. If they had to change their name, it should be to the Taesun. Twin sages. She no longer trusted her brother and directly confronted their opponent, ignoring his desperate pleas to stop. He felt that same killing intent again, like some immortal presence. It was coming from the shadow. There's something wrong with that shadow. As he said that, he immediately left behind a pouch with 200,000 credits, then grabbed his sister and fled for his life. It's the code of the streets, pay the toll and you walk away, the girl urged him to chase after them, or they would escape. What nonsense about a street code? The mysterious figure knew that. They were already at their wits' end, so he didn't pursue them. Who knows what kind of hidden ace they might play in a desperate life-or-death struggle? And that mysterious person was none other than Lam Truong Phong, disguised as the venomous one. Besides, the girl had just promised to give him the information he needed. What about the news on Azure Lotus University? What if she ditches us after we chase them? She was dumbfounded because the senior in front of her could suddenly, change his head. It turns out this cloak can change its shape, and what's more, he wasn't a senior at all, but just, a student like her. She couldn't believe he was also a student at Chunhua First High, as she had never heard of the school having a student awaken as a summoner. Although Chunhua First High is the strongest school in the post-apocalyptic Shanghai city, Shanghai has more than just Chunhua. Besides, he had only recently undergone his class change, so she didn't believe his words, thinking he was a fraud. To reach this level of proficiency right after a class change is fundamentally impossible for a normal profession. She suddenly remembered, could the person before her be the one who experienced a second awakening? Lin Changfeng noticed that she seemed to recognize him. If that guy found out she used him as a human shield, he'd be a goner. He also wondered if Qin Shan, a powerful local lord, would come looking for trouble. With Lin Changfeng's identity revealed, she could now confidently lead him to the people from Azure Lotus University. He wasn't in the mood to find out what treasure the two from Xishan Shuangsha wanted to reclaim. She was angry that Lin Changfeng wasn't tempted by the treasure. To him, a treasure is just an item, and she certainly wouldn't give it to him. What he cared about most right now was Huacheng University. She continued to hype up the treasure. It was a map to a legendary secret realm said to have been created by an immortal, and by using it one could find a gateway to a natural secret realm. This was different from the trial realms controlled by the system, as these realms had never been explored and contained countless treasures. Of course, the treasure map she possessed was only 1/4 of the whole. It wasn't complete. But even after collecting all the pieces, entering the secret realm was an extremely dangerous task. That's why she, with a radiant smile, suggested he become her partner and go with her. But the stoic boy, possibly a powerful mage in his own right, didn't care about her lengthy speech and just walked away. Night had fallen and the moon was brilliant. The two of them sat together, by a campfire. She asked for his name and introduced herself as Su Kexing. Knowing that Lin Changfeng wanted to ask about people from Azure Lotus University, she explained that although she hadn't officially entered Azure Lotus yet, she knew a fair bit about the famous figures there. He asked if she knew Lin Kaer. Kaer is Changfeng's younger sister. Kexing was puzzled. Since he hadn't even taken the university exam yet, how could his younger sister already be inside? She thought perhaps she was a special admission student, but even though Tsinghua is a gathering place for geniuses from all over the country in recent years, there has only been one person admitted through special recommendation. That person is the president of Tsinghua's #1 student society. However, the name didn't match, so it probably wasn't her. Kexing mused that theoretically a genius of that caliber should be very famous. So why had she never heard the name Lin Kaer? Lin Changfeng fell silent, remembering when he received the school's confirmation letter, stating that Azure Lotus University had no student named Lin Kaer. Since then, he had tried many ways to contact his sister, but there was never a reply. He didn't know what they were planning, but if they dared to harm his only remaining family member, he wouldn't let it slide. Kexing lay down next to Changfeng and comforted him. Don't worry, Azure Lotus University isn't a den of wolves. If your sister... So you were really accepted through a special exception? She will be nurtured with countless resources. That being said, Kexing knew. He was about to take the Huathen University entrance exam. She asked if he knew the school's rules yet. A high school graduation exam score of 600 and a power level of 14 are the minimum requirements to even participate in Huathen's entrance trial. But she adopted a grave tone and mentioned an unwritten rule of the school that not everyone knows. From Huathen's Class E all the way to Class A, the available resources are worlds apart. Everyone wants to get into the highest ranked class, but the number of students per class is fixed. All it takes is for one person to be removed for another spot to open up. In other words, during the admissions process, some people will play dirty. This could even involve making a competitor completely disappear. This is especially true for an awakened person like Lam Truong Phong. If he only wanted to get by in Class E, no one would consider him an obstacle. But if he aimed higher, he would need to learn to. Kexing walked away thinking to herself, "You should beg me because only I from Xuanhua No. 1 High can become Chang Feng's future ally." Unexpectedly, he didn't seem to care in the slightest. She felt completely helpless. Doesn't this guy want to get into Class A? Does he not want to form a team? As far as Chang Feng knew, on average about 20 people from Shanghai City enrolled in Huathan each year. Of those, Xuanhua No. 1 High accounted for 80%. Most of these students were in classes from E to B, and for the next few years they would not see anyone get accepted into Class A. That's because the truly strong, those destined to become an immortal lord, are never coddled in a greenhouse relying on a team to get by. Getting into the top class would always make Kexing feel lucky, but in this brutal post-apocalyptic world where the strong devour the weak, that kind of mentality is fatal. One can only rely on oneself. But he was also very curious about why she wanted to pull him to her side. No one would willingly reveal their trump card to a stranger they just met. She was even patiently explaining just how valuable it was. Was she afraid he wouldn't be tempted? Similarly, she kept hinting that he should consider Xuanhua No. 1 High as his solid backing. He refused to believe it was simple kindness. After all, for her and the other students from Xuanhua, wouldn't this be tantamount to creating one more powerful competitor? Su Kexing hadn't expected the man before her to be so sharp. It was true she was trying to recruit him, but not for who he was now, but for the future potential of Lam Truong Phong. She herself wasn't entirely sure whether it was an ordinary dream or a vision of something that would actually happen in the future. After all, an illusionary spirit summoner was a rare class. Kexing's sixth sense was far more powerful than that of an ordinary person. She advised him to seize the opportunity quickly, as she felt this world was on the verge of a great change. The system would ensure many people would be eliminated. The next morning, they both went to Everlasting Sleep Town, the only trading hub in the entire West Mountain region. This place was rumored to have been created by a high-level mage specializing in formations and several master architects. It was able to use the surrounding mist to prevent demonic beasts from invading. Gradually, the town became a gathering hub for those who ventured into the West Mountain. Only in such a wild, untamed land could one unearth truly good items. Lam Truong Phong wanted Su Kexing to take him to meet the man she had just mentioned, who was a legendary figure in Class A among the second years at Huathan University. He wasn't someone you could meet just because you wanted to. Incidentally, she also let him know that the man had a younger brother who was deeply in debt. Before she could even finish her sentence, Qin Shan and his group came over to greet them. "The third assault wave is ready. Where did you run off to?" He grabbed her by the hand only to be immediately stopped by Lam Truong Phong, whose own appearance had. He has a brother deep in debt, but before he could finish his sentence, Qin Shan's group arrived to greet them. The third post-apocalyptic assault wave was ready to go. "Where did you run off to?" He grabbed her hand but was immediately stopped by Lam Truong Phong, whose appearance had also. Qin Shan was furious and about to teach him a lesson, but then he sensed that the person opposite him was a class holder from the system. A practitioner of the body enhancement class. He was about to go berserk and beat Truong Phong up, but Keitin immediately stopped him. She used the third attack wave as an excuse to pull him away. He turned to Keitin saying she had suddenly left and it made her brother very angry. However, with him here, it wasn't a problem. But an important person appeared in front of his brother, and even he couldn't guarantee what would happen. She acted as if she understood Qin Shan's intentions, that they and Truong Phong were not on the same side. She learned about the method for the third attack wave, some important information that was bought from an informant. It was tested and deemed feasible. She turned to apologize to Lam Truong Phong and said she would find a way to help him later. Suddenly, two people from behind thought he was Duji and approached to greet him. He turned around and looked at them. Could they be the hunter's comrades? One of them said that if she returned, their leader would treat them to lizard hot pot. He put his arm around his shoulder and cheerfully said he had righteously refused. After all, shade lizards are the most precious thing, so how could he possibly get involved in animal protection? He then noticed something unusual. Normally when lizard hot pot was mentioned, Duji's face remained stoic, but this time he was smiling. He realized the person in front of him was not Duji. The system immediately announced that the vengeful necro-spirit had been slain. Lam Truong Phong sensed danger. The ability of this mage absolutely surpassed his own level. This was a truly reckless individual. Suddenly the stone, Shao, inside him activated. Just like when it absorbed the energy from the snake eggs, this flame was also absorbed. The other guy was scared stiff. His face contorted in shock. "Duji, what did you do to my ahua?" Although the experience points gained this time were not significant. There must be some connection between these two people. Lam Truong Phong thought to himself, if only I can figure out the activation logic of the stone, my leveling speed could increase manifold. He was terrified. From behind, a three-headed monster appeared. Dana saying Duji return his bone flame. Lugu, a powerful summoner, also chimed in to punish you as a warning for leaving without permission. This was from our inventory 3 months ago, so now they were certain the person before them was their teammate. Only Duji's substitute lizard could withstand the flame of Tugu with its tough body. Lam Truong Phong thought to himself, a substitute lizard. It seems this Duji is tougher to handle than I imagined, perhaps even immortal in his own way. Defeating him was just a stroke of luck. The other guy firmly asserted if Duji could be so easily assassinated and replaced, how would he have been qualified to join us? Therefore, he fundamentally had no doubts. He just wanted to show some warm concern, a kind of concern that I fear is a one-way trip. The woman asked if Lu Gu's reserves would affect the next phase of the plan. She and Lu Gu then departed. Lam Truong Phong felt this woman was even more terrifying than both Lu Gu and Duji. Perhaps she was some kind of lord. If a real fight had broken out, I'm afraid even his immortal will couldn't have saved him. What was even more frightening was that, judging by their voices and faces, those two people were about his age. Moreover, that mysterious organization had so many genius-level figures. It was clear they were all members of this organization. Lu Gu reminded Duji to follow them to take care of something together. He reluctantly became their teammate in this post-apocalyptic world and followed them. Meanwhile, back with Lin K-tin, she was very worried about Truong Phong. Qin Shan, he pressed the elevator button for the 18th floor. Although this item was beyond their reach, it was placed in the most exclusive location. This level 25 item. His brother, a powerful mage lord, absolutely must obtain it. At the same time, on the 17th floor, two people stepped out of the elevator. The tall man wondered why they weren't going to the 18th floor. Qin Yu was already there. Did she want to experience his cold gaze? So soon she exclaimed that she never expected the guy known as the monster of Huaqing, just one stare from him sent shivers down her spine. For days she was Wenzhou, a member of the Huaqing Research Council and a shadow hunter of the Great Wilds. The other was Li Shi, a member of the Tyrannosaurus Rex Field Research Society of Huaqing. He retorted that it wasn't just a third-year senior wanting to test the strength of the top student of the second-year Class A. Anyone who could fight that nearly immortal being to a standstill was already impressive. Besides, their opponents weren't just him, but also two others from the Beast Hunting Society. And others likely felt the same. That guy Qin Yu probably thought he was the only one who knew about the appearance of the amethyst gold magical beast. For the past 2 days, news has been flying all over Huaqing's internal network. This time the golden scroll hunt has changed when Zhou continued, after all, it's an amethyst gold magical beast, a prime target for any summoner with a lineage nobler than the golden bloodline. Our great Jia hasn't seen one in so many. The chairman said this is a bad omen, and we should be careful. We are not exaggerating at all. A storm is about to break. Over this quiet summer below the arena, old Ji was struggling against a lion. He was trying his best to save old Yang, and Aya Lin Changfeng recognized Uncle Ji and wondered why he was still here. Didn't everyone else already leave? Luogu asked if he knew the person in the arena. He could only explain that he was curious about what kind of person would fight on the stage with their life on the line, knowing they had no chance of winning. Luogu believed that fighting is a magnificent and noble word, but the man on that stage had long been forced into a slave contract by some unknown entity enforced by a cruel system, becoming a mere money-making tool unworthy of the word fight. Suddenly he was startled and turned around surprised because Luogu was asking such strange questions. Changfeng casually wondered what would happen if he sent Luogu up there. He quickly changed the subject, wanting to talk about future plans. A Huo suddenly appeared from behind, unexpectedly reminding them to be careful because many new people from Huaqing had arrived. Luo was intrigued, although the official hunt hadn't started yet. Having a little appetizer first would be excellent. Lin Changfeng wondered what the hell they were planning to do. They hadn't told him they were planning to rob the place. The announcer came up and declared that it was time to end this match. The final item is an ultra-rare artifact from our merchant guild. We can guarantee that after seeing this, whether you buy it or not, you will all feel that this trip was worthwhile. Everyone in the crowd was skeptical. Who gets their kicks just from looking at something? Do they think we're a bunch of country bumpkins? We've seen plenty of treasures before. The announcer remained confident in his item. You've seen many ordinary treasures. But a human-shaped treasure is what's being kept here for the Huaqing Assembly's special service. The hunter Tan Ngok, along with Ka Tin and Tan Sun, are watching the program on a large screen as the host makes an invitation. The main attraction of the day inside the cage is the human-faced spider. Everyone in the audience is completely stunned. Is that thing a person or a monster? I've never seen anything like it. Such country bumpkins. Ka Tin wonders if this is the final preparation. Doomed to attack the demonic beasts. Tan Ngok is disappointed. He thought it would be some powerful treasure, but it turned out to be so lame. Tan Sun explains that this is an extremely rare type of human-faced spider, a creature most people have never heard of, and that only a legendary summoner could control. Only the top libraries have any records of it. Ka Tin worries that monsters and humans are incompatible, wondering if she, Babobas, will help them. But they aren't waiting for her help. They're ready to exploit her. She isn't an ordinary monster. But a very special one. A guy behind them yawns and gets a free palm strike that sends him flying into the wall. Tan Ngok remains calm and composed. Forget it, you'll find out soon enough anyway. Back on stage, the starting end price is announced at 2 million. It seems everyone is a bit hesitant, likely due to the demonic beast's dangerous nature. It has been inspected and measured by the auction house. Although her system shows she is level 3, she has absolutely no combat abilities. She is a perfect mascot. Whether for home decoration or for those with special tastes, she is very valuable. With such a rare item, everyone here is lucky to even see it. You won't get another chance. Hearing that introduction, someone immediately bids 3 million. Whether she's beautiful or not doesn't matter. The important thing is that I and demonic beasts don't get along. I'm buying her to eliminate Bassa, a menace to the people. A bald man bids 4 million. In this post-apocalyptic world, demonic beasts have plagued humanity for hundreds of years, tearing countless families apart. He wants to buy her, take her home, remove all her spider legs, and make her weave silk day and night to repay her debt. But the fat guy is about to say something, but suddenly clutches his chest. He collapses as a powerful mage's curse takes hold, causing strange branches to sprout from his heart, piercing straight through his body. At the same time, his body seems to have its soul and life force completely drained, looking different from a walking skeleton. The person next to him suffers the same fate. Everyone panics and flees. The MC announces an emergency. On the 18th floor, send people immediately. Just as he finishes, the fearsome Lord Locos appears behind him and seizes the cage containing the human-faced spider. He grabs the MC and asks if he knows where the people from Huathan University are. They're in some VIP rooms on the 2nd floor. Looking up, he sees too many rooms. Overwhelmed, he decides it's better to kill the wrong person than to miss the right one. He charges up an attack and blasts every single room. After all the rooms are hit. Locos laughs triumphantly, unaware that inside the seemingly immortal Tan Ngok is completely unharmed. He is still sitting there calm and composed. Tan Son and Ka Tin realize they've been attacked. Tan Ngok turns to the side and asks, "Why aren't you dead yet?" Lithoy and Van Chow walk over from the next room saying, "Someone is truly impolite. Even if they knew we were next door, they wouldn't have held back their attack." He wonders where the other members of the Flash Hunt Guild went. It seems they knew the information was leaked and evacuated early. But Beast Hunter Tan Ngok could convince most of the Huathen students to give up. But he couldn't stop the true blood-stained hunters. Locos, after capturing the human-faced spider, is very excited. He's eager to devour the elites of Huathen right now. Lam Truong Phong realizes this is a good opportunity to eliminate them. But someone mentions that many people from Huathen are here. What if your sister Ka Ni is among them? As a powerful summoner, he considered sending an undead to scout the maximum distance he could retreat while still maintaining his connection. Suddenly, someone appeared behind him and said, "Brother Lin, is that you? Do you recognize me?" It was old G, his face weary. He understood that for a dead man to return to life, it could only mean he possessed some kind of immortal power. Changfeng wondered why the old man wasn't afraid that Doc Tich was just faking his death, waiting for everyone to leave before coming back to deal with him. He completely trusted him, and if the man wasn't really dead, the only outcome would be that old G would just die one more time. Old G wanted his help to deliver a letter to his family, and as he handed it over, he instructed, "Rest assured I will. Not let you do this for nothing. It's just that I have nothing left to give you now, but my family will reward you after reading this letter. It's all up to you." Lin Changfeng couldn't understand why he didn't return himself. Perhaps it was because of some slave contract enforced by the system. Although he wasn't sure what would happen after old G's group left, This entire forbidden zone was in chaos, a common sight in this post-apocalyptic world. The chaos was the perfect opportunity for him to escape, but he didn't explain, only saying he had unfinished business and couldn't go back. He really couldn't go back anymore. Facing the power of Elko's people fell one by one. He was quite amused, finding it meaningless when everyone collapsed before he could even do anything, but he wasn't allowed to cause trouble for long. A strange man appeared, clapping his hands and praising, very good, a bunch of level 10 something nobodies dare to fight a humanoid demonic beast. Not even a high-level mage would be so bold. Now put her down, then you can get lost. My opponent isn't you but the Hwaching Grand Council. Elko's was furious that some pests were getting in his way and even dared to judge his abilities as inferior to those from the Hwaching Grand Council. Elko's asked his teammate to help him kill the guy blocking his path, but she was nonchalant, saying whoever he provoked should be the one to deal with him. Elko's started whining, I can't make a move, he doesn't even see me as a threat, and I'm supposed to be a lord of this territory, so I won't acknowledge him either. Otherwise, it would really devalue me. It's only right for you to act. Your pride is worth less than 5,000 on the market. The big burly guy was itching for a fight, facing a man who wouldn't back down until he was dead. He rushed forward and delivered a solid punch to Likos, and to everyone's amazement, that guy, Sam, seemed quite powerful, finishing it in a single blow, but it all made sense. This burly man was a violent fistmaster at level 23. He turned and shouted, challenging Chinyu's group. Even the highest level members of Hwaching didn't exceed level 20. A 3-level gap meant that even if they teamed up, they'd be no match for him, especially since he was a level 23 martial artist. He confidently declared that no one there could withstand a single punch from him, and hearing this, Wenjo scoffed. She retorted without hesitation, hey old man, what do you take the Hwaching Grand Council for? Do you think just any random mutt can walk in here? The guy changed his tune, wanting 5 million and promising not to make a big deal out of it. This humanoid demonic beast is definitely worth this price. Give me the money and I'll hand over the demonic beast. Wenjo cheerfully passed the task of dealing with the guy to her friend. On behalf of the Hwaching students, she was determined not to let some small fry cause trouble. Lishi felt helpless but still had to step forward. He pointed directly at the violent fistmaster and said condescendingly, I bet you've never been to Hwaching University. Otherwise you'd know that while the system's levels are important to truly become powerful, for a true powerhouse aiming to become an immortal lord, consolidating each new level within the system is what truly matters, similar to how both a lake and a pond are bodies of water. Both are letting out water, and while the lake holds more if the pond's outlet is larger, an expert mage or summoner could unleash more power at once. If you dam it for a short time, the water's flow will naturally be stronger, otherwise that pipsqueak with a 3-level gap would just... To think that the talent and resources of the top sophomore from Class S has only reached level 20 in the system so far. The necromancer belonging to Lam Truong Phong was also hiding in a corner, eavesdropping on the whole story. As the words fell, Li Shi flew in like a bird with a single punch, knocking him down into the iron cage. Although the fistmaster managed to block it, saving his life, he was still heavily affected and boiling with rage at these self-righteous brats. He even bragged that he had lived this long by consuming the essence of magic beasts. But a mere 3 seconds of carelessness was all the enemy needed to strike. Li Shi raised both hands and shot forward like a rocket while the other guy tried to counter. The iron cage exploded to pieces, terrifying Wenjo. Meanwhile, Old G arrived at the warehouse and met 2 men waiting there. One of them recognized him as the man who used to sell maps of the post-apocalyptic Forbidden Zone. They planned to use him as a toy to fully display their powers. Given his half-dead state, dealing with him would be a piece of cake. One of them threw several knives that embedded themselves directly into Old G's body. All the energy in his body was sealed. The other one used his ability to read his thoughts. In the past, all his comrades had died. They were attacked and surrounded by raiders from the savage wilds. Their final mission was to bring this golden magic crystal back safely. Selling it would mean the trip wasn't a waste, but now it was impossible to return. The man grew impatient, wondering if he had found the origin of the golden magic crystal yet. Unfortunately, just as it reached the crucial part, the vision cut off. Before it could describe the crystal, Old G moved with lightning speed. He took them down one by one. The first one's head was slammed hard into the ground. Old G radiated a murderous aura, his hands stained with the blood of vengeance. Then he approached the other man, grabbed his neck tightly, and lifted him up. His eyes shot daggers as he relentlessly demanded, "Where are my squad members? Where are my comrades?" The man saw the dark red aura surrounding Old G like a fearsome lord of battle. Could it be he used the forbidden drug given to slaves in the death arenas? You talk too much, go join your friend. He seemed to have Gone mad as he continued to ask where his comrades were, the man hastily confessed that they had all gone to the Forbidden Zone. Just as he finished speaking, he was sent to meet his ancestors. At the same time, at the Forbidden Tiantai workshop, these 5 people were preparing an awakening ritual fit for a summoner. It's been half a day without any orders. They thought about taking a break, but without a command from that certain great lord, they couldn't leave the ritual for even a moment. One of them mentioned that the 6 heroes of Shishan were after all quite famous in the hunter community. Just what kind of seemingly immortal figure were they so wary of? The cloaked man found that great lord to be very terrifying. They kill to steal treasures, but he kills to survive. Back at the arena, Wenzhou worriedly shouted Li Shi's name. He said he was fine. Luckily, he had reacted quickly using a barrier to block the flames. But the current situation was not optimistic. Wenzhou was about to help him when her teammate frantically stopped her. Quick, retract it. It's devouring energy. Cut off your energy supply now. Hearing this, she immediately withdrew her power. Even Qin Shan and Su Kexing were wide-eyed with shock, not knowing what this mage ability was. These flames seemed to be alive. It was truly terrifying. Based on his internal condition, he could hold on for 10 more minutes at most. Wenzhou knew that. Perhaps Qin Yu had already noticed its strangeness. Any source of energy ultimately comes from a person. You just need to deal with the person, and the energy will lose its foundation. But he didn't know who had unleashed these flames. The powerful Lord Quinn declares that the Spider Girl is his. Vance agrees, but only regarding her as the violet gold demonic beasts will not give up. Quinn agrees and uses his power to force those hiding nearby to reveal their true forms after Vance discovers them. She finds 4 people hiding here. The powerful mage begins to cleanse the area one by one. Arrows of light are fired. Only that flower-faced woman manages to dodge. Even the undead creature of the summoner Feng is hit. Lugo thought he had dodged it, but unexpectedly the arrow also attached a tracking marker. He has to run for his life and blink away. Outside, Feng thinks to himself that the students of the Azure Guild are terrifying. Just one arrow was enough to scare him out of his wits. It seems he made a miscalculation. His system rank is too low right now. Even with valuable information, he lacks the power to change anything. The primary mission now is to quickly become stronger. Suddenly, Feng sees Uncle Kai below, wandering aimlessly like a zombie. He immediately jumps down and touches his uncle's shoulder, but unexpectedly the power emanating from the man is too strong, knocking him back. Uncle Kai turns to look at him with a murderous glare like a ferocious beast going berserk. Looking into his uncle's eyes at this strange energy flow, he can't understand what happened in such a short time. The stone is indeed reacting too. It seems his uncle contains something that can absorb energy. Based on past experiences, the stronger the energy it absorbs, the more intense the black light from the stone becomes. And yet the energy this time is almost identical to Lugo's flames from before, but the stone's reaction is clearly weaker. Looking at this situation, it seems he needs to take a risk. The most pitiful person right now is Lugo Hai, is being chased and running for dear life. Tears and snot streaming down his face. He's calling for the Raven's help because he really can't take it anymore. The Raven recognizes this aura. It means the ritual has begun. She calls Vance Archer sister, hoping that next time they meet, this sister will use her full power. Vance shows a disdainful attitude, calling her a shameless braggart. But until now, no one has ever escaped the ghost hunter. As she says this, she conjures a circle. This is a portal for teleportation. All that's left is to take Lugo with her. After they join hands, the two of them completely vanish. Everyone is astonished. Could she be an extremely rare space mage? After escaping danger, Lugo doesn't understand why she brought him here. He says they should have let the people from the Azure Guild get a better look. This way is too humiliating. Huh? Weren't you just crying for help? Lugo starts to explain that his specialty isn't long-range combat, but couldn't she have easily teleported those broken arrows to another dimension? In this post-apocalyptic world, if you can't handle it, just run. Even if we flee, we should have brought the spider person with us. Wasn't that the whole purpose of our mission? The Raven points down below where an intense situation is unfolding. The people below are being attacked. Because this is a sacrificial rite, a ritual to summon the spider-faced one. If you don't know what summoning the spider-faced one means, it's simply to make the third-tier M-class spider-faced one reveal her true form. This power is on the level of an immortal. The situation isn't looking good. Don't just stand there gawking, Lugo. We need to split up immediately. From inside the iron cage, a pillar of red light shoots straight into the sky. That living corpse suddenly awakens and says, "Let the slaughter begin." Here, out there, and throughout this entire post-apocalyptic town, is all of this yours? Someone realized that looks like the restricted Zone 18. Over there, it's possible someone is using a powerful ability. A spider-faced demonic beast's skill? A powerful mage-type creature stood in the middle of a ritual circle. Lam Truong Phong also witnessed this event. The system announced. Notification checking the covered ability range. The hunting domain and the will of the Lord have been activated, automatically granting immunity to domain-type abilities below the Lord level as expected. It's an intermediate-level demonic beast with a rare domain. He wondered about the fallen angel. What is the effect of this domain? The effect of the hunting domain is that within a 1-kilometer radius, all prey of any level will be restrained, and simultaneously grant a bloodlust effect to the user. Each time a prey is killed, their combat ability will increase by 10%. He couldn't believe that a domain he was seeing for the first time was so powerful, but now it has transformed into a cocoon. Even if it's restrained, then what is it relying on to do the killing? Suddenly, many large spider spirits appeared, causing the people below to panic. In this harsh post-apocalyptic world, they were dealt with one by one. Everyone fled in chaos, their desperate cries for help filling the air. Now he finally understood this summoner was using monsters to absorb experience just like him. These spiders are estimated to be around level 15, but there's no way that's happening. He wouldn't let himself walk right into a trap with that, said Lam Truong Phong. Charged forward, Ziling tossed him a blade and he quickly plunged it straight into the cocoon while holding the stone in his other hand. To capture the swarming spiders below, he first had to get the one in charge using the stone to absorb its power. His experience points met the requirement and his level rose to 13. This cocoon offered absolutely no resistance from within. On the back of the spider-faced woman's neck, her strange symbol began to glow as many bizarre insects crawled out of the cocoon. A terrifying source of energy immediately erupted from it. Just like that, the spider-faced demonic beast was preparing to evolve. Lam Truong Phong watched in alarm. Realizing something was very wrong here, then he was immediately thrown back by that surge of power. At the same time, in Yongmiantown, 2 ghost hunters were present. Luo wondered if Zhao had intentionally arranged all of this. If so, why didn't the Lord tell him sooner? Even she didn't say a word to him, but they had deliberately kept it a secret, a prize this valuable. The more arduous the process of obtaining it, the more believable the story becomes. She kept being intentionally vague, leaving Luo completely in the dark. What was going on? She figured that if she told him the plan was merely a pretense to steal the human-faced spider, he would no longer have that natural sense of urgency he had earlier. Arriving at a room, they found a message left by Zhao on the table. It said that the curse mark he had placed on the human-faced spider had been triggered by someone else. It was probably not someone from the Huaqing Association, but to be safe, the Lord needed to go and deal with it for a bit. They never expected there to be such a master in this small town. Meanwhile, Lam Truong Phong had just sustained a significant amount of damage. The stone that had been absorbing power clearly didn't sense any conscious resistance from the giant cocoon. But inside that same cocoon, a new power seemed to have suddenly been born. A power completely different from that of the cocoons. Moreover, this new energy seemed capable of controlling the cocoon's resistance. Whatever the reason, this was a chance to level up several times at once, a step closer to becoming immortal. Even if he had to risk his life, he was determined to see this through. Suddenly, the members of the Huaqing Association were sent flying like bowling pins. The attack that just happened was from Qin Yu, who wanted to deal with this skeleton. It clicked its tongue in admiration worthy of the renowned Qin Yu. All the levels in the system have been suppressed down to level 15, yet his combat power is still quite strong. But it seems you're very impatient to kill me. Is it because I awakened the second form of the human-faced spider? In that case, you must act now while it's still weak, because it will grow stronger and stronger until it matures and reaches level 30. Once it breaks out of its cocoon, you won't be able to tame it anymore. Let me offer you a deal. You go tame the human-faced spider while I go kill everyone by your side. How about that? But there's no way in hell this lord would agree. Agreeing to that is a death wish, so let the handsome Qin Yu send him on his way. The skeleton burst out laughing. He just thought Qin Yu was like him, a fellow pursuer of power, never expecting he would abandon his path to become an immortal for a few useless people. He was very disappointed that his opponent wasn't on the same level, but before he could laugh for long, Qin Yu had already teleported behind him like a true mage. A simple move shattered the mobile skeleton. For him, a true adult never has to choose. The mysterious figure hiding behind the skeleton quickly revealed his true form, and he was still smiling gleefully. One side wants imprisonment in the abyss, the other wants to fall into hell in this post-apocalyptic world, choosing to live in misery or not caring and just dying between these two is what others find most amusing. After listening to his nonsense for a while, Qin Yu realized This guy was quite confident in his abilities, thinking that he wouldn't be able to find his real body as someone who possesses the power to control space. He could also sense an aura existing right within this fragment of space. Next, he began to unleash his power, covering this entire forbidden zone, and everyone was stunned. Not knowing what would happen next after feeling this amount of power was sufficient, he used human annihilation, causing everything to explode as space itself fluctuated. Everyone was affected. Qin Chu saw Lam Truong Phong touching Kasang and his blood boiled. He rushed forward without a second thought, demanding he remove that filthy hand. Immediately, the summoner's companion Ziling appeared and blocked with a shield. He was shocked that his attack had been stopped. He was even counter-attacked in just a few short days. This guy had grown so quickly thanks to his system. He was furious. Qin Yu was one thing, but how could a mediocre person from the rustic lower district of the city become so gifted? Seeing this, Keishing quickly intervened before something major could happen. Now is not the time to cause trouble when suddenly a spider attacked her from behind. Luckily, Lam Truong Phong was quick enough to save her life. It seems the little monster has become more uncontrollable than before. This is a sign that the spider mother is about to break out of her cocoon. We must leave here immediately. Once the spider mother appears, she will slaughter everyone. Keishing disagreed. This is related to an important part of a violet gold demonic beast. She couldn't accept just leaving like that. A violet gold demonic beast hasn't appeared in this world for a very long time. Of all the demonic beasts that have appeared in history, less than 5% possess the violet gold bloodline. This is very complicated. It can't be explained clearly in this situation. In short, she absolutely cannot leave here now. Qin Yu also couldn't help but be astonished that someone could escape his human annihilation for the first time, but it's fine. He's already been marked by the handsome Qin Yu. Meanwhile, Q and Bok Nya were also discussing amongst themselves, with Q believing that Tan Ngok was unlike the rest of them. Catching him required some tricks, as a reckless move would likely mean a pointless death. Ba Ya just never expected that guy. That kid could actually be immune to the domain of a level 30 magical beast. Moreover, even if Q didn't act, he knew he wouldn't die. At first, his level was definitely the same as theirs, suppressed to level 15, but then that suppression vanished. Knowing Qin Yu's personality, he wouldn't deliberately feign weakness. Qin Yu is a powerful but mage who wields the power to control space. According to Q's theory, it wasn't that he was immune to the killing power, but that he isolated himself from it. He isolates the space, leaving only an area untouched by the effect. However, looking at him, there's no way he could isolate the flow of time within that space. This is a weakness they can exploit. Q only came here to see if the curse he placed on the human-faced spider was stable. Ba Ya quickly cut him off, uninterested. Q reminded Ba Ya not to cause any more trouble. According to the plan, the human-faced spider was meant for Qin Yu, but someone as stubborn as Ba Ya wouldn't let anyone order him around. Q sighed helplessly at his unruly friend, but it seemed this trip wasn't for nothing. He had discovered a rather interesting host, one who could handle such immense external power without exploding. His constitution was also quite special. This person was none other than Old G. It seemed he would become the next target for Q. As a powerful BUSSIN summoner, he summoned a demon lord, whose monsters tore through the crowd, heading straight for Old G. The birth of a new king had officially begun. The crowd turned into a pack of crazed beasts wanting to devour Old G alive. Lam Truong Phong also quickly appeared, prompting Keijing to ask, "Do you know that person, the one being surrounded before I was part of his small group?" Keijing noticed that the old man had taken at least 3 forbidden pills. These forbidden pills are from the 18 forbidden zones of this Kincha post-apocalyptic Shmu world, given to slaves under contract. They contain a brutal power that the human body cannot withstand and are typically used when fighting for one's life in the arena. Furthermore, taking at most just 1 pill would cause severe internal organ damage, let alone taking 3 at once. It's hard to imagine how he didn't just explode and die. He was beginning to understand. It might be that the magical stone absorbed the energy, or that a secret ingredient within the forbidden pills was connected to it. The truth seemed to be one step closer. He then stepped forward, intending to return the letter Old G had sent, hoping the man could give it to his family. Keijing immediately stopped him. She wanted him to see and understand for himself, using her power, the Tree of Life, on Changfeng. Suddenly he felt his life force connect with hers because the two had formed a contract. Any consequences and damage he sustained would be transferred to her through the Tree of Life. As long as she was here, his life force would never fade, making him nearly immortal. But that would be incredibly dangerous for Keijing. She told him not to worry. Although it was essentially trading lives as an emissary of the phantom spirits, her tree of life was far stronger than an ordinary person's. She wouldn't die so easily. Truong Phong still didn't understand why she used this power to stop him. She told him to look over there once more. Those were the life trees of other people visible only to a phantom spirit emissary. Now that their powers were resonating through the C system, he could see it too. The tree had withered, which meant that deep down the old man was already dead. Suddenly he felt something strange. All of their life trees were being controlled by a bizarre bug puppeteering their very existence. Ha Tin suspected this was man-made. He remembered seeing the exact same kind of bug inside that cocoon. It meant some powerful summoner was already controlling that boss from the shadows, but he couldn't understand why they would hide it. What were they using this boss for? He feared that by draining the cocoon's power earlier, he had already been discovered by this hidden master. Ka Tin turned to warn Lam Truong Phong that it was best not to reveal himself until they understood the situation. But she noticed he was in a state of panic which was completely unlike him. Elsewhere, two people were scouting the post-apocalyptic landscape on an iron bird. They sensed that something terrible was about to happen over there. The trouble seemed significant and perhaps they should advise Lord Tan Ngoc to evacuate. The purple-gold demonic beast was beneath this town. It was better to flee than to be surrounded and killed by the beast. Then again, those who coveted the purple-gold demonic beast wouldn't dare get close either, which meant the creature would surely become their primary hunting target. Meanwhile, Tan Sun was furious upon discovering that someone had bound Ka Tin's tree of life. He swore to take that person's life, but Ka Tin pushed his hand away, saying she did it willingly and wouldn't delay the plan to attack the boss. She could simultaneously bind herself to Tan Ngoc. Tan Sun was disappointed. She could only bind with two people. So what about him? With that, he turned to settle the score with Truong Phong, whose calm and unapologetic demeanor only enraged him further. Tan Sun lunged forward, intending to end their grudge right here and now. He unleashed the aura of a level 16 warrior according to the system. Suddenly, Tan Sun and To Ka Tin were sealed. It was Tan Ngoc's doing. Truong Phong tried to resist the powerful mage, but was ultimately sealed just like the other two. Within the seal's range, even breathing became difficult. This was the effect of spatial suppression magnifying the body's entire weight 1,000 times. He intended to end it now, but half the pressure was being diverted to Ka Tin. Tan Ngoc immediately understood that she had given her tree of life to him. He retracted the spatial suppression and all the pressure vanished. Tan Sun started bragging loudly. If it weren't for Tan Ngoc, he would have already devoured Truong Phong. What a hothead. That kind of power is meant for survival, not to be wasted like that. If Ka Tin hadn't helped shoulder part of the damage, he would have lost dozens of lives by now. He never expected that guy to be so powerful. Tan Sun quickly went to help Ka Tin up. She had also endured considerable pain. Tan Ngoc handed her a forbidden pill from the Forbidden Land and ordered her to swallow it. He wanted her to unleash the full power of her tree of life to help him obtain the human-faced spider at top speed. He had already wasted too much time and couldn't wait any longer. Tan Sun vehemently objected. She was only level 15 and couldn't withstand the backlash of the forbidden pill. Yet the fearsome Lord Tan Ngoc was unfazed. He wanted to keep her to attack the purple-gold demonic beast, but if she wanted to die, she needed his permission first. Separating the tree of life was no small matter for someone who seemed nearly immortal. If Tan Sun took one more step, he wouldn't hesitate to act immediately. Truong Phong still couldn't understand it. They were clearly in a kill zone. So why did he seem completely unaffected by the system's restrictions? He spoke up. So this is the top student of Hoa Thun. Looks like you're just another bully who preys on the weak. Ka Tin took the pill, forbidden drug, and agreed to take it. She thanked him for speaking on her behalf. But from the very beginning, this was a voluntary transaction between her and Ka Tin. After quickly swallowing the forbidden pill, she and Tan Ngoc went straight to the identification point, leaving only Truong Phong and Tan Sun staring passionately at each other. Just then, the iron bird belonging to Lu Dong and Chu Nam landed, ruining the love-struck gaze between the two men. Tan Sun was ecstatic to see his friends. Chu Nam wondered aloud. Wasn't destroying the human-faced spider supposed to be a sure thing? So why do you look so pathetic? Like this, Truong Phong sensed that these two newcomers were very powerful. Tan Sun seized the opportunity to ask his two friends to take care of him. For a guy like him to be afraid of that kid, Chu Nam found it baffling. In this post-apocalyptic killing zone, the higher a person's level in the system, the greater the suppression they experience. Even the two of them were only at level 15 right now, and he had a full suit of armor, yet was still spooked. However, they noticed something strange about Truong Phong. He seemed completely unaffected by the zone's oppressive aura, almost like an immortal. The battle-hungry Chu Nam already got into a fighting stance, ready to throw down with Truong Phong. From a distance, Van Chao and Li Thoi watched with great excitement for the upcoming duel. He recognized Lu Dong and Chu Nam but had no idea who the other guy was. Truong Phong stated bluntly that his opponent was the third person from the Grand Assembly of Hua Than to displease him. They all had one thing in common: they were all self-righteous and arrogant. He was so confident that he told Truong Phong he had 1 minute to leave his last words. Van Chao felt that something was very wrong with the image of the kid in front of them. It was just an illusion, and he was right. Truong Phong had used an illusion to trick Chu Nam, and then he acted as a summoner, calling forth a death spirit to corner him. The spirit's sword pierced right through Chu Nam's flames. Li Thoi couldn't believe that this no-name guy had suppressed a level 15 player in a mere moment. Even though Chu Nam was 2 levels higher, he still had to be praised. With a single move, he had forced Chu Nam to reveal his blazing fire state. Chu Nam wasn't defeated yet, though. His opponent had some skills, but if this was the full extent of his power, then he could go and kiss his life goodbye. If that guy was only level 13, he would have been toast a long time ago. It was fortunate for him that his power didn't stop at level 13. Lu Dong judged that in this fight, even though his level was only 15 in his blazing fire form with its twice strengthened power, he was strong enough to kill anyone under level 15. Chu Nam pressed his attack, confident that this single strike would make him see the vast difference in their power. The next fist he threw was like a chasm splitting the sky. Truong Phong was slightly surprised, but he was determined to overturn this so-called heavenly chasm. As a true summoner, he called upon countless sovereign spirits, an army befitting a lord. The spirits expanded their range and swiftly cleaved his prideful sky chasm in two. To everyone's astonishment, Chu Nam was caught completely off guard. Fortunately, Lu Dong was there to save him. Lu Dong declared he wanted to end things here. Why didn't he just say that earlier? If you can't handle it, just quit. Nobody's forcing you. He admitted that Truong Phong was the strongest level 13 individual he had ever met, second only to Tan Ngoc. However, he noted that the move from before couldn't be used a second time so quickly. Suddenly, Truong Phong felt Tan Son casting a forbidden magic on him. Lu Dong rushed to stop him, immediately saying his forbidden mage spell should be saved for the boss. Truong Phong then asked what Lu Dong's true purpose was. He didn't hesitate to answer, and said he wanted to give him a chance to join the attack on the magical beast from Tu Kim. Truong Phong was quite surprised that this guy had. Could he replace Qin Yu as the new lord? In the Purple Gold's hideout, there's a place that requires a powerful summoner, and previously he was a mechanist, reluctantly using machines as a substitute, which consumed a massive amount of time with each attempt, but now he seems like a decent candidate. Before they had plenty of time, but that's no longer the case. The mechanical bird, relaying his intelligence, reported that all the demonic beasts of this West Mountain have begun to stir in this post-apocalyptic world. In 3 days at the latest, the horde of demonic beasts will surround this place. Even someone like Qin Yu would have to prioritize the bigger picture. Qin Shan believes Liu Dong is overestimating those creatures. The people in the city now are not to be trifled with by any ordinary demonic beast from West Mountain. Indeed, that's true, but the location and timing of the purple gold beast's appearance this time are too sudden. Liu Dong is worried. What if those demonic beasts aren't ordinary? Qin Shan stubbornly insists they are just demonic beasts, claiming they don't even have brains. So what could be special about them? Seeing this, Zhu Yan reminds his friend, telling him to stop being so mysterious. Isn't this an all-out war between humans and demonic beasts? This demonic beast rampage is due to the awakening of a high-level demonic beast. Chang Feng is surprised to realize this. For Liu Dong, it had all been just speculation. Qin Shan wonders, although the purple gold beast possesses a very high bloodline, for just one to cause a great war seems impossible, but he has no way of knowing if one or many have awakened. That group of high-level demonic beasts hasn't launched a large-scale war in a very long time. The last nationwide recruitment of soldiers was 10 years ago. Chang Feng's face tenses as he recalls his childhood. That year he was furious because his parents left him and his younger sister in the care of relatives, claiming they were on a business trip. But Chang Feng knew perfectly well that his mother and father had never gone on a business trip together. Besides, his mother always told him when she'd return, but not this time. Chang Feng's father proudly said that heroes must guard their nation. Before they returned, he had to protect their home and his sister well. Chang Feng fell silent, mentally apologizing to his parents for failing to do what they asked, but his father had also promised to return and failed. That was the first lesson that taught him being a hero was useless, unlike some kind of immortal being. The only way was to become stronger, perhaps through some kind of power system. Just then, Qin Yu successfully subdued the human-faced spider, and the small spiderlings vanished completely. Li Shi figured that next they would probably have to attack the purple-gold demonic beast. He wondered if he should continue fighting. He never imagined that while they were both level 20, the power gap could be so vast. Qin Yu was fundamentally different from a normal class holder. Li Shi had always assumed the society head called them over to actually deal with him. Based on her divination skills, how could she not have known they were no match for Qin Yu? So why did she still call them? It was because she had performed a divination for Qin Yu, and the result was crystal clear. Qin Yu was about to face the first defeat of his life. Like a mage casting a spell, Zhu Yan quickly activated his ability. Lin Changfeng also summoned a spirit, but it was Justiletus. The spirit's soul had been incinerated by the fire dragon. He was bewildered. It wasn't the ambient heat as he felt, no, abnormality himself. It seemed the soul power of his ultimate skill was simply dissipating. Zhu Yan fuming with rage. Frake. This was supposed to be his strongest form. Changfeng wasn't intimidated either. In his strongest form, his speed wasn't even at his peak because that move had cost him far too much meaning. He had just exhausted all the power he'd recovered to restore his rank. In a flash, he had used all his strength, and Chu Nam feared that even in his strongest form, he would still be defeated by him. Hearing this, he boiled with rage, spouting nonsense as he charged directly at his opponent with his fist. This was the perfect opportunity for Lam Truong Phong to use his ultimate move. With the long unused mental corrosion technique, Lam Truong Phong caused Chu Nam to collapse to the ground, after which his death spirit prepared to bring its scythe down on his face. Fortunately, Lu Dong helped his friend block the attack and turned to Lam Truong Phong, saying things should end here. They needed to conserve their stamina to deal with the violet gold demon beast and shouldn't waste it here. Lam Truong Phong looked at Chu Nam and replied, "But it seems someone doesn't think so." Chu Nam, panting on the ground, still couldn't process what had just happened. For a moment, the blood in his entire body seemed to freeze. Never before had anyone made him feel such fear, not even Tan Ngok. Chu Nam shoved his friend aside, pointed at Lam Truong Phong and demanded, "Kid, was that some kind of magecraft just now?" He wanted another round. Chu Nam refused to believe that his opponent, who was merely level 13 according to the system, could make him fall into a trap. Lu Dong had to whisper in his ear, "That's enough. Have you forgotten what kind of post-apocalyptic situation we're in? Even if you are incredibly strong, you can't be stronger than the beast tide. Or do you want everyone to be buried here too?" Hearing that, Chu Nam reluctantly turned away. However, he had never lost to someone a whole 7 levels below him, so he swore that one day he would reclaim his honor, though not right now. Lu Dong reverted to his normal state and went to introduce himself to Lam Truong Phong. Lu Dong introduced himself as a student from Huateng University, and the guy who just fought was Chu Nam. Lam Truong Phong also gave his name and said he was from Daothen's #1 high school. Upon hearing the school's name, the two realized that the young man before them was the twice-awakened individual Suke had mentioned. If that was the case, it made sense. Why Lam Truong Phong was so powerful at only level 13. Lu Dong asked if he had mastered any of his awakened powers yet. However, Lam Truong Phong had no idea what awakened powers were, which meant no one had ever told him. What changes occurred after awakening twice? Just looking at Lam Truong Phong's expression was enough to understand. Perhaps the information hadn't gotten out yet and the major powers hadn't found him. Once he fell into their hands, it was doubtful he could remain this free, and would instead become a war machine. Lam Truong Phong looked at the silent Lu Dong, understanding that the changes the man just mentioned were likely nothing good. Lu Dong didn't reveal anything more, only saying that he would find out soon enough. For experts who had mastered their awakened powers, their strength could no longer be measured by simple levels. However, that train of thought was cut short because in front of him was Lam Truong Phong, a powerful summoner who could fight Chu Nam, who was a whole 7 levels higher, without even mastering his awakened powers. Once he did, he'd be monstrously powerful, perhaps even an immortal in the making. At that moment, Tan Ngok also landed with K-Tin. Tan Son rushed over to help her up, then warned Tan Ngok, "If anything happens to this girl, you'll have to answer for it." Lu Dong and Chu Nam also walked over, and Lu Dong invited Lam Truong Phong to join them so they could later face the violet gold demon beast, that powerful lord of the beasts. Li Shi and Van Chao also began to move, ready to adapt to the situation. Lu Dong discussed the beast tide with Qin Yu, agreeing that its sudden appearance was highly suspicious. Even though it hadn't fully gathered, Liu Dong sensed that its target this time would be their location. Therefore, whether the assault was successful or not, everyone had to evacuate within 3 days. He then turned to Lam Truong Phong and said, "It's fortunate we have Lam Truong Phong, a powerful summoner, who greatly aids the speed of our assault. For that reason, I think we should let him join us." However, Chin Yu coldly replied, "There's no need for such a hassle." He then held a strange item in his hand, which was the secret realm treasure map that Keijing had mentioned earlier. And this was the complete secret realm treasure map leading to the lair of the Zijin boss. After saying this, Chin Yu threw the map down. The ground at their feet cracked open. A secret realm treasure map can unlock the instance anywhere within its corresponding range. Under this fissure lies the lair of Zijin. Chin Yu turned and said a single sentence to everyone. "Jump down forcefully, anyone who's afraid can go back." He then leaped down alone without hesitation. The others didn't understand what Chin Yu's intention was at all. Previously, wouldn't one find a secluded place and open a small rift? By doing it this way, wouldn't everyone be able to find it? Find the entrance to the secret realm. As Liu Dong was pondering this, the people behind him seemed to discover something. A magical atmosphere made everyone think of treasure. They felt as if the aura of a demonic beast was down there. Liu Dong said they didn't have to go down, but then his group and Lam Truong Phong jumped in. The two men on the surface saw everyone jump down in unison, thinking there was likely real treasure, so they also wanted to go. The reason was simple: they didn't want all the treasure to be taken. Inside was a post-apocalyptic desert without a drop of water, only sand. And sand. Lu Hu's group was also wandering around looking for an exit. One member of the group had no strength left, however. Lu Hu refused to give the guy water, because in a dangerous place like this, resources must be reserved for useful people. The blonde-haired girl was furious, saying he claimed it was for useful people, but it was really for himself. Lu Hu didn't care. In any case, he wasn't forcing everyone to follow him. If they didn't agree with his allocation of resources, they could leave immediately. It was true that in a situation like this, only he, a skilled mage, had the ability to deal with the monsters. Leaving now would be no different than walking into a death trap. The blonde girl couldn't accept it. She clearly couldn't abandon her comrade. Half a month ago, the whole group had entered this place together in unity. But to Lu Hu, the weak were meant to be eliminated, a harsh rule of the system. Anyone who wanted to could stay there and wait for death. The others would naturally follow Lu Hu because it was safer than sitting here and being eaten by monsters. The blonde girl tried with all her heart to persuade everyone to stay, that they couldn't abandon their comrade like this. They had shared hardships together for half a month. Could they still believe that guy could lead everyone out? The monsters weren't the truly scary thing. The scary thing was the heart of a tyrannical lord like him. Suddenly, at that moment, someone cried out, "Monster!" A dark shadow appeared in the dusty, sand-filled space. Lu Hu threw a stone to check it out, but it turned out to be Lam Truong Phong. He had dodged slightly to the right to avoid it. Lam Truong Phong could also feel that the ice all, when launched, had a powerful momentum. But when it touched a person, it was quickly weakened upon sensing it right in front of him. He could avoid the attack without even needing to act. The system's angel only said it couldn't analyze the specific effects of the netherworld domain. So what exactly are its other effects? What is it? The level 1. Taming domain increases spatial resistance tenfold. Any body or skill that touches the space will be obstructed. The obstruction is dependent on distance, which means that here, as long as they don't get close, Lam Truong Phong has the advantage. He would have a natural advantage, but he still didn't know what level 1 meant. Could this domain possibly have 2 levels? The self-proclaimed lord of their group, Lu Hu, also realized that the figure opposite them was not a monster. He had used his ability to check carefully, and it was indeed a human. This person was definitely a newcomer who got trapped after more than half a month in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. There was finally some hope of getting out. The two sides drew closer. Lam Truong Phong asked who they were, and the man standing behind the leader began to posture. "Hey kid, ever heard of the famous Snow Wolf Guild? This man here is a member of the Snow Wolf Guild, a guild Truong Phong had heard his classmates mention before." The underling started running his mouth. "A student, huh? I thought so. Looking as green as you are. Don't tell me you've never even killed a low-level magic beast." Lam Truong Phong was about to introduce himself as a final-year student, but a twice-awakened mage at that, when he was cut off. All right, he was interrupted. "For a rookie like you to have survived all the way to Eversleep Town, you must have come with an elder from your family. You're just here to get some experience to brag about back home. Right, I get it. I was the same way." Lu Hu didn't waste any more words. He got straight to the point, asking Lam Truong Phong why he was here, how many people were with him, and where the exit was. He said that someone had discovered the entrance to the secret realm, but he couldn't answer the other 2 questions, which made the underling look terrified. He couldn't believe Qin Yu would actually open the secret realm's entrance. Could the information about the violet gold magic beast have been leaked? They couldn't keep up the act. Lin Changfeng immediately questioned them. You know, Qin Yu, it wasn't just the people here. Their original party once had over 10 members. They wanted to cooperate in hunting a magic beast at West Mountain, and thanks to a teammate with a special ability, they discovered Qin Yu. They found Qin Yu in this violet gold secret realm, but unexpectedly the moment they stepped inside, they were all teleported to this desert. This caused many to get lost. Lin Changfeng naively asked, "You guys got lost too? I thought it was just an unfortunate accident that we encountered." Could it be that it wasn't an accident? At that moment, Lin Changfeng realized that if they were separated right upon entering, Liu Dong would have told him where to meet. He would have surely told him how and where to rendezvous. Beforehand, this event was definitely beyond his expectations. But these people in front of him had originally entered with Qin Yu and Liu Dong, so why were they separated while the others were fine? Even stranger Qin Yu's group had entered and exited this secret realm many times without incident, and nothing had ever happened. Only these people and Changfeng experienced this. Perhaps these incidents only happened to those outside of Qin Yu's team. Since Lin Changfeng had only joined temporarily, he was also affected. He wondered if it was related to the 2 members of that guild. But then he decided he might be overthinking it after all. Magic beasts and humans are incompatible. Perhaps only a legendary summoner could bridge that gap, especially a high-level, almost immortal violet gold magic beast. How could it possibly cooperate with humans? Lu Hu felt that the kid before him was useless. He couldn't provide any useful information, so he switched tactics to robbing him of food and water. Lin Changfeng watched him with sharp eyes. "What is the meaning of this?" he asked with eyes as sharp as a blade. "This is your bargaining chip for survival," the man sneered as Lin Changfeng stepped closer. "Besides, you mean you want to rob him?" That guy Lu Hu was confident that killing him would be a simple matter. He had never been one to use his strength to bully the weak, so he wanted the hero to hand it over voluntarily. If he didn't agree, he was free to leave. His underling chimed in, "Young man, we all gave our things to him. You have no idea how terrifying the monsters are in this post-apocalyptic place. Only he knows how to deal with them. If you don't follow him, you'll die sooner or later. It's best to just give it to him." Lu Hu was also very confident, thinking how dare a kid, probably some weak summoner, play dumb with him. Little did he know he'd provoked a daredevil. When they told him to leave, he simply left. Lin Changfeng walked away, much to their astonishment. Lu Hu was furious. "This kid wants to do things the hard way." He ordered his men to deal with Lin Changfeng. Just then, the blonde girl supporting her teammate approached and warned that the sound of fighting would attract the monster's attention. Yet he brazenly declared that such threats only work on cowards, and how dare she try to scare him with that. The girl was indignant. "You're not familiar with this place. Aren't you afraid of attracting something even more terrifying?" He answered with sheer arrogance. "Originally, I was going to let these lackeys teach Changfeng a lesson, but now I've changed my mind. It's better to just kill him to avoid future trouble." It seemed this arrogant mage was extremely confident in himself. He began to activate his ice pike ability when suddenly the ground started to sink. A monster had truly arrived. "If you're a real man, then go fight it." Faced with the girl's provocation, instead he, the self-proclaimed lord, remained fearless. "Experience points being served up on a platter, I certainly won't refuse." The more monsters that appeared, the more only Lin Changfeng sensed something was amiss. One of the monsters here clearly possessed immense power, and yet Lu Hu showed no caution. Could it be the influence of the taming domain? Not long after, a pulsating purple light appeared, and from it emerged a figure with blue eyes and purple hair resembling a humanoid demon beast. It spoke, "You humans have come to the wrong place. It's fortunate I found you, or it would be quite troublesome if you were to disturb the slumber of the immortal Holy Lord." Lu Hu figured this must be the amethyst demon beast. If he could just kill it, he would receive a magnificent reward. However, the purple-haired demon beast denied this. He claimed to be the demon lord Mariam of a gold and purple bloodline, and repeated that they had come to the wrong place. If Mariam wasn't here, it meant this wasn't the amethyst secret realm. However, the system could sense the presence of the amethyst domain here. This definitely had to be part of the amethyst secret realm. The only other possibility was a secret realm within a secret realm, a 2-layered secret realm. That explanation made sense. The arrogant Lu Hu, however, didn't care. And whether the being before him was the amethyst demon beast or not, a talking demon beast was extremely rare after all. He assumed this demon beast was just like the others he had killed before and launched his ice pikes toward the creature. The beast sighed, exasperated at having to deal with such an ignorant human. "Did you think I was speaking to you at length because I was begging for mercy. It's simply been a long time since I've had a conversation with a human. He then instantly stopped all the movements of everyone around him. The attacks were nullified and everyone was frozen, unable to move. It's been 10 years since I've savored such a delicious meal of screams. The demon beast dragged Luke Ho closer and then casually requested a piece. It was his arm. Luke Ho was in agony, but couldn't even scream as the demon beast considered the pained cries of humans to be a delightful amusement. So it took his other arm as well, then dispelled its domain, finally tossing the limb to its young to feast upon. The sound of human wailing is truly music to its ears. In the end, the fate of an arrogant man was to be swallowed by the sands of this post-apocalyptic wasteland. Next, he would likely be disemboweled for his heart, a rhythmic beat that was intoxicating. The beast wanted to continue its game. It scanned the survivors, wondering who could satisfy its craving next. Finally, the demon beast's attention fell upon the blonde girl. Perhaps she would produce the kind of sound it enjoyed. It was about to lay its filthy hand on her when Lam Truong Phong spoke up. I must admit you're quite impressive, but I have a question for you first. He was the only one who could move. The question he wanted to ask was this creature isn't the territory's demon lord, so why does it possess the ability to control this domain? Hearing the question, the demon beast roared with laughter. His domain? Don't tell me you think I borrowed the power of that lord? Truong Phong glanced back with a puzzled look. Is that not the case? They all look as if you've completely paralyzed them. They can't move, but in reality, it's just a domain effect that severely debuffs their abilities, making them mistakenly believe they are paralyzed. He continued his analysis like a true mage. I believe this enhancement effect from the system doesn't cover the entire domain. Otherwise, these golden grains of sand wouldn't have just fallen into my hand. Hearing this, one of the immobilized men lifted his foot. He managed to take a step, astonished that he could move at all. Then he turned back with a smile of relief. I'm really free. I ran a short distance with all my might, and that feeling of being crushed by a mountain is gone. Truong Phong glanced back and continued speaking. Although I suspected one could escape the enhancement zone, just look at that guy who was helpless until his death. This enhancement effect is incredibly powerful. A normal person could never break free. The man tensed up and smiled. Because I am someone with a body enhancement type class. In terms of pure physical stats, I'm much stronger than Luke Ho was. Once I understood this cheap trick, you just need enough physical power to overcome the suppression. This gave the demon beast a moment of pause. It considered the young man before it as the other guy guessed. It seems you're the same. No wonder you're so confident. The demon beast interrupted. You humans are so clever figuring out the little clues. It raised a hand, smirking. However, you humans have a common flaw. Just like 10 years ago, humanity arrogantly thought it had defeated us, but you never realized that what you saw was merely the tip of the iceberg. The young man who had just broken free spoke confidently. You think we don't have any trump cards? If he and I join forces, you're not guaranteed a victory against us. Then his tone shifted to be more cautious. How about we avoid mutual destruction? Besides, Luke Ho was the one who killed those sand monsters earlier, and now that he's dead, we have no quarrel with you. Ignoring his rambling, the demon beast stepped forward. Sand monsters, I kill those for fun when I'm bored. It then made a proposal. Let's make a deal. You can leave, but the others must stay. The young man, both frightened and anxious, asked again, You're really letting me go? The demon beast replied, You may leave now. I turned and ran my apologies. He killed even the green tiger with ease. I don't want a life or death struggle with that monster. Hey, I just want to survive. The two restrained people suddenly wondered, Is this guy betraying us? But ironically, the demon lord stood there laughing mockingly. You're really leaving? The moment he finished speaking, the body of the young man fleeing was filled with air. I'm flooding his body. He swelled up like a balloon, then burst in a spray of blood and gore. Truong Phong realized there was no storm casting of any magecraft, no fluctuations of power could be felt. He looked at the demon lord's confident and calm demeanor. Chimu, wondering how did he do that? At that moment, the other two could finally move again. The creature then looked at the two of them. Go and proposed you two also have a chance to escape. After what just happened, they were suspicious. Who are you trying to fool, everyone? And saw the gruesome end of that last guy. He suggested if you split up and run at the same time, you might have a chance. The blonde girl, Didu, warned everyone, don't let him trick us. We can only survive and leave this post-apocalyptic wasteland if we defeat him together. The voice of Diu, a young man, objected. No way. A monster like that we can't possibly win. The man in the white shirt had just turned back when he saw the man was already running far away. He's really fast. As he ran, he shouted back, I don't want to die here. Seeing his teammate flee, the man in white also bolted. The demon lord taunted, "Go on, take a chance. Choose him first. If you choose me, then your holy lord, he will give birth to a child without a backside." Truong Phong observed the immortal-like demon lord's attitude, wondering if he was really letting them go. After he finished yawning, he turned to look towards the two runners, then flashed a dangerous smile. Truong Phong was startled. Could it be the two of them? And who fled would meet different fates. One was rapidly aged, turning into a withered husk, while the other with his own hands. It plunged a hand into his own chest and ripped out his heart. Truong Phong thought with dread, it's happening again without any fluctuation of power. Shebmas, and with no warning signs at all. Just then, the demon lord radiated a dense demonic aura, looked at him, and said, "Human, I told you what you see is merely the tip of the iceberg." The demon lord stood there calmly looking towards Truong Phong and the blonde girl in the distance. Suddenly, a massive iceberg appeared above his head. Startled, Truong Phong looked up as the shadow of the ice mountain grew. Shimwa ever closer, then it crashed down, crushing the spot where he stood. The girl watched in absolute horror as the demon lord smiled. "All your confidence and courage are like that of an insect unable to withstand a single blow." The girl saw Truong Phong lying motionless on the ground, wondering what just happened. Her face was a mask of horror. Why did he collapse in an instant? It was as if an invisible force from the system had slammed him into the ground. The demon lord continued, "It seems the one the holy lord seeks is not here. Only two of you are left, so I'll just bestow this upon you." The moment he finished speaking, the two sand dunes behind them suddenly began to move. They then launched swirling vortexes of sand right where they were. The girl raised her hands, trying to defend herself, when suddenly a voice rang out, "Stop!" The demon lord turned to look as the sound of cracking ice filled the air. This made the demon lord's expression change. Truong Phong was using all his strength trying to break free. To do this, the summoner was channeling the power of his undead to resist. The demon lord smirked, "It seems. Oh, this little insect is quite special." A moment later, the iceberg shattered, sending shards flying everywhere around Truong Phong. He pushed himself up slowly. Behind him, his undead spirit swirled along with the floating ice shards. The girl turned to him, her face filled with joy. "This is great. You suddenly collapsed just now. I thought you were done for." Hearing this, he was startled and asked, "Back suddenly collapsed? Can't you see anything else?" The girl replied, "I only see you being pressed down by some kind of invisible force." Truong Phong began to reason, "So she can't see the power, huh? It seems the people who just died in these circumstances were just like me. They must have seen something similar." He stood up and declared, "But this is absolutely not an illusion." Truong Phong grew worried. "This is a terrifying opponent, the likes of which I've never faced before." He shot a sharp glare at his foe and declared, "I, Lam Truong Phong, will defeat you then." As a powerful summoner, he commanded his undead spirits to attack the demon beast in front of him, but to his surprise, a giant undead spirit also appeared behind the beast. Truong Phong flinched. "That's an undead spirit." His own spirit attacked it, but the scythe passed right through its body, without inflicting any damage. The mysterious undead spirit suddenly spoke, "The god of death granted you the bodies of the dead. Yet you dare to harm a messenger of the gods." It then glided forward, menacingly, "Retreat now. Your punishment is that you will never be able to return to this place." In an instant, Truong Phong's undead spirits dissipated. His body felt besieged by death energy invading him from within. Truong Phong stood in the void, panting heavily. He looked at his hands, worriedly wondering, "Why can't I summon anything?" The mysterious spirit continued, "The souls of the dead will no longer be summoned, because I am the messenger of the god of death." It swooped in, raising its scythe to declare, "I represent the divine to pass judgment upon you." As it spoke, a wave of spectral energy from its scythe slashed out, dragging the very soul from him. Truong Phong's face became lifeless as the spirit pronounced its judgment. "I will now strip you of all your powers and your life force. You will be cast into the prison of the dead, becoming one of them. From this moment forward, you are no longer a Shai Lord of the undead." A soulless Truong Phong knelt there. He remained on his knees and screamed, "Fallen angel, what in the world is going on? Answer me." But in that vast emptiness there was no answer. He was surrounded by nothing but skeletal remains in this post-apocalyptic landscape. Truong Phong wondered, could my system have been disabled? He stared blankly into the space filled with dark demonic energy. He looked at the giant skull before him, something every lord must face upon awakening. The demon beast stood there and asked, "Soul of the dead, are you willing to submit to me?" He recognized the beast, gritted his teeth in fury, and asked, "It's you then?" Truong Phong stretched out his hand and shouted, "Undead Legion!" Death energy flared, but the great summoner found that no creatures appeared at all. He stared at his hand in astonishment. The demon beast just laughed smugly, then it snapped its fingers and commanded spirits appear. Now the words had barely left its mouth when the undead spirits materialized, but now they were under its command, surrounding him. The spirits radiated demonic energy and killing intent. Truong Phong shouted, "I am your true lord. Wake up!" The demon beast just smiled. "Everything you possess was a gift from the Ganpo immortal gods. Without their divine power, you are just a pathetic human. That is all." As it spoke, an undead spirit drove its scythe into his body. The demon beast's eyes began to glow as an enchanting voice echoed, "Submit to me! Submit to the messenger of the god of death!" Truong Phong coughed up blood in agony, yet his eyes remained resolute as he declared, "I don't believe in any gods." Before Truong Phong's eyes, a battle between demon beasts and humans raged. A powerful mage fought nearby, but he stood there completely unaware of his surroundings. Just a moment ago, he was being attacked by an undead spirit, and now he was in this place. A bewildered Truong Phong wondered, where is this place? From somewhere behind, a voice rang out, "I will never let you trample on Sun High City or desecrate our home." It was Tae Yin Yin, her fists radiating fiery power as one monster with a massive weapon prepared to strike her down. From behind, Truong Phong saw the danger and rushed forward, thinking, "I have to help her." However, his power was currently sealed. Powerless, he clenched his fist and cursed, "Damn it, my summoner system is locked. I can't summon anything over there." Nien was hit by the monster with an extremely powerful blow to her back, causing her to collapse. Truong Phong spotted a large axe stuck in the ground. He pulled it out and charged with all his might, screaming, "Beast, get away from her!" But his strength was limited, and the monster only needed a single swing of its arm to send Truong Phong flying backward. He landed hard on the ground, wincing in pain. He then glanced toward Yin Yin and saw the monster raise its mace to smash it down with immense force. Truong Phong could only watch, helplessly, and scream, "Don't!" Suddenly it began to rain. The drops falling on Truong Phong's face jolted him awake. He was in the middle of the school stadium, surrounded by a truly much post-apocalyptic scene of corpses and smoke everywhere. Lightning cracked as a voice boomed, "The calamity has arrived and there is no retreat." Truong Phong stared blankly, rain soaking his face. It was monsters again, invading and attacking humanity. A girl over there was facing two monsters without a shred of fear, saying, "The life and death of our nation? How can one possibly evade it?" His eyes flashed. He struggled to get up and run. It was Kanye, and once again, Truong Phong screamed helplessly, "Don't over there!" Kanye, a powerful mage, was creating a barrier to block the incredibly strong attacks from the monsters. As he ran, he yelled, "Hold on, Kanye!" A devastating blow caused her shield to crack, and his face filled with despair as he heard Kanye scream. She was defeated, lying amidst a horde of monsters. Truong Phong collapsed to his knees, his face twisted in anguish at the sight. A demonic beast hovered nearby and spoke, "Have you seen reality now? You, without the power of the Shem, Lord, are nothing but a weak human. Submit to me. Submit to the messenger of the god of death." It extended a hand, smugly lowering its arrogant head. "This is for the protection of the weak, otherwise a fate far from immortal. Life and endless death will surround your people forever." Truong Phong knelt with his head bowed, his body trembling. Tears streamed down his face as he gritted his teeth and replied, "You want me to submit? I am the Lord. How could I possibly submit to anyone?" The demonic beast's expression shifted slightly. The souls of those lying around Truong Phong seemed to stir. He asked in agony, "You want to break my will?" "To resist. You should never have made her appear." Truong Phong slowly rose to his feet, his voice like steel. "Because you have touched the reverse scale of me, the Lord." He seemed to be slowly regaining his power. "The fury of the Han Lord is something even gods must bow to." Cracks appeared in the illusionary space, which then shattered before the demonic beast's eyes. It was shocked. My domain was actually broken. Truong Phong was back in reality. It was all an illusion. "You deliberately used an illusion to toy with and destroy my will. Well, sorry, but I'm not a fan of this game." The beast was still hovering above, looking down as it replied, "You brat, you are the first person to ever break my domain. This is very interesting." It gathered demonic energy into its hand and dove down. "But I've played enough. You can die now." With those words, hundreds of demonic energy arrows rained down. Truong Phong the powerful summoner immediately invoked his power and shouted, "Undead Legion formation." The undead formed a phalanx struggling to block the demonic beast. He began to worry, how could this be happening? Ordinary undead spirits should be completely unable to block my attacks. He looked down, wondering what is that kid doing? In an instant the undead spirits teleported upwards then, appeared and surrounded the demonic beast. As a powerful summoner, Truong Phong closed his eyes, channeling his voice through the undead spirit. "You used Kanyi to cause me pain, and now I will repay you twofold." The surrounding undead unleashed their scythes upon him with a great shout, "Die!" But surprisingly the attack did not harm him, the assault was ineffective. His flesh was as hard as stone. The demonic beast frowned and asked, "Is that all you've got? Your attacks aren't even worthy of tickling me." Truong Phong replied, "You like being tickled that much, huh? In that case, I'll let you laugh your heart out just this once." With that, the undead spirit's energy surged. He used the power of a lord amplified 13 times. The demonic beast was slammed to the ground, lying there disheveled and wondering, what is happening? His power just suddenly exploded several times over. Truong Phong pointed the scythe at him and said, "The power of a lord improves as the system grants higher levels. Today is the day you die." He sat up and countered, unleashing an extremely powerful stream of mana. "Don't be so sure of yourself." Truong Phong inside the undead's body was shocked. That one blow struck the spirit directly in the chest. However, the undead remained standing, merely smoking a little. The demonic beast grew anxious. "It's not dead." Truong Phong looked at him. "My indomitable will can transfer wounds to the summoned creature, and my summon will remain effectively immortal. Do you think I can die?" The beast panicked. "This is impossible," but the undead spirit moved closer to him. "Anything is possible." Then with the sharp scythe in its hand, it lunged forward, slashing him horizontally and splitting his body in two. Truong Phong slowly opened his eyes, looking at the demonic beast's corpse in front of him and sighed in relief. It's finally over. The blonde girl wondered, who is he really? I can't believe even. A demonic beast that is strong could be dealt with. A large bone emerged from the beast's corpse. Truong Phong looked down, wondering, what is this? He picked it up and called to the fallen angel, "Help me inspect this item." It replied, "This is a demon bone, and inside it carries a taming zone containing demonic beasts. If you can forge it into a weapon, you can command that entire zone." Truong Phong was overjoyed. "This is a great item, it belongs to me now." He added to the fallen angel, "All right, scout the surrounding area for me. My target is the Purple Wing Cave." It reported a large number of life forms detected 10 kilometers to the southeast, but they are gradually disappearing. Looking in that direction, Truong Phong pondered a large number of life forms. In this post-apocalyptic wasteland, could there be other survivors there? He decided to go check it out. Seeing this, the girl shouted, "Don't abandon us, I'm scared." A large eye was observing everything. A winged demonic beast flew in the sky, saying, "This place is getting more and more lively." It flew towards a vast castle, nestled against a mountain, then flew through the gate and entered. It knelt before a demonic beast with long horns to report, "Lord Garo has been eliminated." Holding a game piece, he asked who killed him. The winged beast replied, "A young, unfamiliar human." The Lord sat there contemplating a map of the territory, then gave an order, "Understood. You will continue to monitor him." There are more interesting things to watch now. Amidst the desolate mountains somewhere in the territory, a group of people, perhaps led by a powerful mage, stood before something. Before the cavern entrance, one of them spoke up. "Rumor has it that beyond this door is the Purple Wing Cavern, where many adventurers have gone missing in this post-apocalyptic world. They are all dead, so what are we still doing here?" A young man with a great sword on his shoulder declared, "We have no retreat in this post-apocalyptic world. We can only press forward. Anyone who doesn't fear death can form a party with me, and we'll explore the Purple Wing Cave together." The people behind him whispered, "That man's system level seems to be in the high 20s. Following him should be fine, right?" Another replied, "What other choice do we have? We can't find an exit behind us, so we truly can only move forward." They all agreed in unison. They raised their hands. "I am willing to go with you." "I agree too." "Me too." He turned back and smiled. "Excellent, you are all brave men." Another person stepped forward and proposed, "I also want to join everyone." It was Zhang Feng and the blonde girl. He continued, "The Purple Wing Cave is extremely dangerous. One more person means one more bit of strength if you do not mind." "Then could you let me join a bald man in the group?" sneered a level 13 rookie, probably some weak mage, also wants to enter the Purple Wing Cave. "You would just be a meat shield." The young man with the sword asked doubtfully, "Brother, do you know what the Purple Wing Cave means? Do you really want to go in there?" Zhang Feng answered confidently, I want to go in, he thought to himself. The Purple Wing Cave is an unknown area. Exploring with a team is safer than rushing in alone, and more importantly, I can rely on them to distract the demonic beasts. Hearing this, the man patted his shoulder in praise. Excellent, your courage is commendable. You walk at the very back later and I will protect you. Zhang Feng nodded his thanks. The girl with him asked, and what about me? Let's go in together. It is not necessarily safe outside. After that, the group advanced on his command. Let's move out now. Standing before the gate, Zhang Feng reached his hand in to test it. Then he poked his head inside. In contrast to the desolation outside the Purple Wing Cave was lush with greenery. Zhang Feng observed his surroundings, thinking, so this is the Purple Wing Cave? He felt something was not right. The sky in this place is too bizarre. From that direction, a mysterious object appeared on the cave gate. Zhang Feng shouted, this is bad, and immediately launched a powerful punch towards it, but he realized it was incredibly tough. The exit has been sealed. The girl pointed ahead and asked, look quickly, what is that from the sky? A stone statue of a person hugging their knees was falling. That fall created a powerful shockwave along with a pillar of light. Everyone looked over and shouted in unison, a statue. The group appeared extremely worried. Cracks appeared on the stone statue. Then a demonic beast, a true dungeon lord, broke out of the stone, looking incredibly fierce and roaring loud enough to shake the heavens. It charged forward amidst everyone's screams. It is a demonic beast. The young man pointed his longsword forward and shouted, hold the formation. Prepare for battle. The demonic beast threw a punch, easily sending the leader flying. He began to worry. This speed is just too fast. He took the chance to slash its back with his sword, screaming, die! But its body was like that of an immortal, incredibly hard. The previous slash did not injure it at all, and it even turned to look at him with a wicked grin. Then with a swing of its arm he was sent flying. The team leader was taken down in a single blow, lying motionless with his sword out of his hand. The remaining members huddled together, full of anxiety as the demonic beast approached them, terrified. This is it! I can't believe we ran into a level 30 demonic beast. We are dead for sure. In the forest on this side, Qinshan wondered, strange, where is everyone else? Kajing replied, as soon as I entered, I saw everything go black. And then I was here. He grew a bit anxious. It seems the Purple Wing Cave is very dangerous. We must be more cautious from the bushes. Nearby, there was a rustling sound. The two turned their heads to see a massive demonic beast, possibly a powerful summoner's creature, leap out from the brush with its mouth wide open. Roaring Leo recalled his robotic arm and then launched a straight punch to its face, sending the demonic beast flying back as it tumbled over and over. After a few tumbles, it let out a roar and turned to flee, but Leo quickly gave chase, shouting, don't run! A startled Clara yelled, wait for me! Catching up to Leo, she asked, why are you chasing it? If it summons a high-level demonic beast, we'll be in serious danger. The demonic beast seemed to have successfully lured the two, looking back as it ran before leaping into the bushes a moment later. The two of them still charged into the dense forest, emerging from the trees to find themselves facing a rocky mountain. Leo said, this place looks like a canyon. The demonic beast, watching from a tree behind them, chuckled to itself, the Lord ordered me to lure humans here. I even got 2 of them. After moving for a while, they saw the group from earlier, and Clara immediately pointed, quick, look over there. There are so many people. Arriving, she asked them, did you guys see a small demonic beast? They replied, we didn't see any demonic beast. What I only know this is the entrance to the Violet Wing Cave. Leo was stunned. The entrance to the Violet Wing Cave? The group pointed towards a purple spatial gate. The entrance is over there. Leo's eyes widened. The Violet Wing Cave was right in front of him. Clara turned and said, maybe the others are already inside. One person recounted, a group went in there a while ago, but they're most likely dead inside. Without hesitation, the two immediately ran towards the Violet Wing entrance. In the blink of an eye, they stepped into the space within, greeted by the sight of a chaotic battle and shouts of, be careful! A single blow sent a group of 3 or 4 people flying as Aiden dodged and jumped back, landing right in front of Leo and Clara. They immediately recognized each other and called out their names. Aiden wondered to himself, this is strange, wasn't the entrance sealed? How can people still get in? Could it be that the seal only prevents people from leaving? The young man with the longsword managed to get up, his face contorted as he said, this demonic beast is too strong. We can't beat it, he added, but if we want to survive in this post-apocalyptic world, we have to fight to the death. Get into formation. The demonic beast roared and spewed a powerful pillar of fire from its mouth, aiming right at him. The blonde girl was lucky to dodge falling backward, but thankfully Aiden caught her and immediately carried her to one side. They leaped into the air to evade the deadly attack. He turned to her and asked, "Are you all right?" The girl immediately thanked him. "I'm fine." That fire breath just now incinerated a large section of the forest. A long stretch of ground was scorched, and the other young man was nowhere to be seen. Only his sword stuck in the ground remained. The beast smirked and charged again, causing the group to panic. No one can defeat this monster. We're really done for. I don't want to die yet. Someone please save me. Seeing this, Leo said to Clara, "We can't take on that demonic beast. Let's retreat first." But she raised a hand to stop him. "Wait." Aiden stepped forward. Stepping on a stone with a crack, he spoke up. "I've been observing for a while now. It's like my system has analyzed its attack patterns and characteristics." The group warned Aiden, "Kid, do you have a death wish? Hurry up and run. Stop trying to be a hero. One punch from it will shatter your bones, run." Leo also stood there skeptical. This kid is really putting on an act. He won't even know what killed him. Seeing Aiden step forward, the demonic beast retracted its claws and leaped high, preparing to strike down. He stood there gritting his teeth, but appearing calm, secretly channeling his mana like a true mage. The demonic beast's powerful strike against Aiden created a huge explosion. But surprisingly, he had blocked its punch with his bare hands. The demonic beast's expression changed, showing a hint of astonishment, as if it couldn't believe a mere human could challenge its almost immortal strength. Jung Fong appeared then as a powerful summoner. He called forth another undead spirit behind him. He smiled at the beast and asked, "Is this all you've got?" The group pointed in astonishment, exclaiming, "He's not dead! I can't believe he withstood an attack from a level 30 beast." The blonde girl was also completely shocked. "This guy is so strong! Who is he really?" The enraged beast roared and continued to raise its hand. It launched its attack, continuously throwing punches at Jung Feng, but he dodged them with ease, looking at it mockingly. "I've already seen through your attack patterns with my system." Hearing this, the beast's face went blank. It kept attacking, but with no effect whatsoever. Jang Feng then had his undead spirit dismember and finish it. The group cheered joyfully. "We won a level 13 killing a level 30 beast is unbelievable." Qin Shan scoffed resentfully. "It's just killing one monster. What's so exciting?" "All about it." He thought to himself, this guy is definitely showing off for Kaijing. Hearing Qin Shan's remark, Jang Feng immediately asked if it was so simple. "Why were you hiding on the side?" Just watching Qin Shan laughed awkwardly. "This kind of low-level monster is beneath me. I wouldn't even bother to act." Jang Feng gave him a speechless glance, then said, "I'm not wasting my breath on... Are you? Finding the Ghost Lord is more important." Meanwhile, the Territory Lord sat in contemplation. "The beast I sent is dead," he observed. "I've done everything," and exclaimed, "What an interesting person." The Lord took out another chess piece, saying, "Today is getting more and more interesting." Then, he dropped it into the domain. "Let's see how long you all can survive on this chessboard." The group continued moving through the strange post-apocalyptic landscape. The purple wing space. It was somewhat desolate. Jung Feng said doubtfully, "This is strange. This place doesn't look like the Purple Wing Cave that Kajing..." Agreed, it's completely different from the Purple Wing Cave described in the intel. From the sky, another object began to fall, similar to the stone statue. And from before, in front of the group now was another beast. In a different area, Qin Yu's group of 3 was present. He sensed in something and warned, "This place is too bizarre, everyone be careful." A beast suddenly jumped out, blocking their path. This one, perhaps a creation of a powerful mage, looked just like the one that lured Qin Shan's group. Zhu Yan shouted, "A beast!" Qin Yu raised a hand to stop him, saying, "I'll handle this." The beast turned and fled, intending to lure them away just like before. But this time the one giving chase was Qin Yu, who seemed almost immortal in his speed. In the blink of an eye, with lightning speed, he was running alongside it. He then grabbed its neck and slammed it to the ground, completely subduing it.